Synth Network.
Hello, it is just gone 7 o'clock. We are a little bit late. 7 o'clock here in the UK. Anyway, whatever time it is where you are, I hope you're having a lovely day or a lovely evening, or you've had a lovely afternoon, or maybe you're just getting up in the morning. If you're watching us on catch up, you might be lying in bed eating a bowl of cornflakes with warm milk and a coffee. Whatever you're doing, welcome and thank you for coming along and watching the show and listening to four old farts talk about electronic music technology. I'm going to do things a little bit different now. I'm going to bring each of our co-hosts in one at a time rather than just go blah. That's like, so let's go across first of all to a smoky California and say hello to Cryss. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. We're missing the smoke down here, but
good.
We've got a nice overcast day, so it feels a lot like the mother country.
Lovely. You're looking a little bit crisp and clear there, might I say.
I apologize for that. I'm sorry you have to see it.
New camera?
Yes. Got it all set up with my iPhone, so hopefully it looks better.
Yep, looks
and
good.
we'll just pray that it works through the entire show.
You're putting the rest of us to shame here, I think. But yeah, welcome along. Good stuff. Let's move back here to the UK, and we'll go up north, where it's grim and grey and drizzly, no doubt, because it always is, in Warrington. Mr. Ben Simpson, how are you?
I'm all right. I don't know what the weather's like. I've not been out, but
no, those shutters are never open, are they? Is that a security feefer?
It looks as though there's a bit of sunlight popping through. It's not like when the mothership came past that night when I was blasted out.
Oh dear. Yeah.
I think it's been quite nice up here today.
Yeah.
From what I can gather.
Yeah, I've not been out much myself, so I don't really know. I just kind of sit up here and got the windows open. It's nice and muggy here today, so I normally sit here with my shirt off, but I thought I'd save everyone from doing that. Oh, well, there you go. There's our two regular co-hosts, and of course, this is the first time that well, it's not the first time we've had him on the show, but it's going to be the first of his regular monthly appearances with us. He's based in the south of England. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, because he's a private man with his own private business. But we welcome our very own Kenty Poos. Mr. Kent Spong, welcome. How are you?
It's grim down south as well. You know.
Is it really? Yeah, it's been a bit overcast, isn't it? Yeah. How's things with you, sir?
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everything's hunky dory. Yeah.
Lovely. I spot something behind you there that looks rather fruity. And it's not Fiona. There we go. Look at that. Ooh. Is that ein avocado?
Yeah, Autobahn-Stabika.
That's the one, isn't it? How fabulous is that?
Three new channel boards for it.
Oh, right.
Missing. So.
Does that red module also get you really high?
Have you been licking it, Kent?
I hear the Buchla ones will do that, but
yes, apparently. Anyway, there we are.
The
full set of
water.
It's not often you get to see a Kraftwerk vocode.
The Kraftwerk. Yeah, it's not like it's not like there's a range of them.
Well, I thought they might have had more than one.
Might have done
in the history. Like,
apparently not.
Yeah.
No, it's the only one.
The only one.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you able to give us a bit more volume, Kent? Apparently, some people in the chat saying it's still rather quiet. Just give it a boost. Maybe. What's he going down?
Case of having to move closer to the microphone.
Get closer. Come on. There we go.
This is Radio 4.
Oh, that was very good. That was very good. Brilliant. Excellent. There we go. Full house. Welcome, everyone. And welcome to everybody in the chat room. Loads of familiar faces, one or two new ones too, which is always lovely to see. Welcome along. We're very glad that you could make it to us. And sorry, I just noticed this from Andrew Brooks. Stop indulging in... And I suppose that's about anti-northern cliches, not ant-northern cliches. Have you ever been to Luton? No, I've never been there. I've been to Luton. That is grim. I will grant you. Luton is the arse end of nowhere. It's bloody awful.
Where is Andrew Brooks? Isn't he like Yorkshire?
He's Sheffield. He's Sheffield.
Yeah.
He's proper Yorkshire.
Aye.
Yorkshire proud.
They're a grand bunch up there.
Yeah. I'm kind of... My mum was born in Yorkshire, although that was only because Grandad was stationed up there. But yeah, so I kind of... That's not proper Yorkshire blood, is it? Anyway, we're getting off the beaten track here. So yes, welcome to everyone that's in the chat room. Great to have you on board. Let's get the formalities out of the way. So, of course, you can find us, as you are probably finding us at the moment, on YouTube, also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. All of the handles are at Synth Network. Please do give us a follow there. If you want to donate to the show, and we're very grateful when you do, and thank you to everyone who donated last week, and to all the people whose regular subscriptions donations are coming through. Thank you ever so much for all of those. It's most appreciated. The link is in the description underneath this video, but it's also there on the screen if you need it. And also, don't forget that if you are watching us on YouTube, then please do hit that subscribe button. Ooh. And look at that. See, we've got graphics now. So hit that subscribe button, and also ding the bell and press the like thing. I haven't got the bell or the like thing yet. It's kind of coming out from your mouth there, and you can just... that actually works. Yeah, so please do subscribe and like and bell and all that kind of stuff that the kids tell you to do. Yeah, I think that's kind of all the formalities that way. I was compiling the list, the show notes to send to Kent the other day, and I noticed again that we're kind of bereft of worthwhile news because it is kind of that lull period. And I was talking to somebody in the industry this morning, and they said they're having terrible trouble getting hold of everyone because they've all gone on holiday, because now they can. It's just like everywhere's deserted and they can't get hold of anyone. So maybe that's the reason why. Maybe it's because we're coming up to possibly the first proper in-person show since this whole thing started, which is Super Booth, which is coming up, is it next month, in person? So that'll be interesting to see. Which kind of leads me on to our first topic, and that is something that Kent... I'm sorry, I didn't get to send this to you, but I'm hoping that you might have seen this come through. No doubt you'll know... We didn't get a chance to research this. There's not a huge amount to go on at all. However...
And yet you'll still know more about it than we do.
almost certainly. So what it is, and we have... Tom over at Synth Anatomy to thank for this. It is a leak of a new synthesizer from Sequential Circuits, and it's going to be called, apparently, the Take 5. Yeah, I don't know either. It's an odd one. So, according to Tom, and this was leaked on I think it's a Dutch retail site, ABT Music, and then it promptly got taken down within minutes or whatever. So this looks like the new synth, the first new synth since the Rev 4 Prophet 5, and it's an odd-looking thing, in my personal opinion. Apparently, it says that it has 2 analog VCOs per voice with continuously variable wave shapes. Hard sync, square wave sub-oscillator generator, front panel frequency modulation, a digital wavetable oscillator is not included. I was going to say it was, but it's not included. Got out of that quickly. In a dedicated mixer, white noise generator, 4-pole resonant analog low-pass filter per voice, based on the Prophet 5 Rev 4 design. It's also possible to drive the filter into self-oscillation with resonance. Also, there is a bipolar filter envelope mount, which is handy, according to Tom. bits of information there. I mean, let's bring up the this kind of general picture. So, first thing I thought is this has fallen out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on its way down. It doesn't look a pretty synthesizer. It's got 44 keys, and that's odd because I looked at it and thought, hang on, 3 black notes at one end, 3 black notes at the other. That doesn't seem right. And I counted them because I can do that, and I got all the way to 44 without missing one. And I thought, 44? Why not go 49? Just go with that extra little thing. I don't know. It's
yeah, I've only just realised that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and surely a 44-note keyboard isn't as popular as a 49, which would probably be cheaper because it's more popular. I don't know. But, it's kind of a dull front panel, and there's no nice wood, although that could be black wood on the end, we don't know. Coming out the back, you've just got very limited, just standard USB and MIDI audio left and right, which, of course, Prophet 5 owners can't boast about. Foot switch, pedal, and a headphone socket. That's about it. Supposedly retailing for €12.99, which is a pretty tasty price point for an analog synthesizer from Sequential. What do we think? I mean, I've kind of given you my opinions, but let's go to Kent. Let's drop him in it first. Early doors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any thoughts on this one? Because haven't you recently acquired the Sequential?
I have recently purchased a Pro 3, which looks surprisingly like that. So you're saying that my keyboard is
Yeah. No, actually, you've got the. Have you got the SE? Haven't you? Did you get the SE?
I've got,
with the
yeah,
tiltable.
Sit up and beg. And
Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, I'll give it that.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm assuming it's a miniature Prophet 5.
Yeah.
Hence the name, unless it only plays in 4/5 time or something. Well, the Dave Brubeck synth or something. But
yeah, well, there is that reference, isn't there?
44 notes. I mean, it's not the first machine to come out with 44 notes on it.
No, but isn't it? It's just odd, isn't it?
But it is weird. Start with F, end with C. Make up your mind, mate.
Yeah, 3.5
I don't
octave.
know. I think it might be some sort of chopped down poly version of the version 4 to fall into a slightly cheaper bracket.
Yeah. I wonder maybe that's what they're thinking is, let's kind of grab the lower end of the market with something that's Prophet 5 like, but also has some of the Pro 3 stuff.
It depends on its price ticket then when it comes out.
Well, yeah, according to the advert that got promptly removed, it was €1299. So what's that? That's about 999 or 10.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
great,
in UK.
Very, very poor, but want a profit. Here you go.
Yeah. I can see the appeal. I just think that there's some odd design decisions.
Cheap.
Yeah, built-in preset manager gives you space for 128. Use 128 factory, 3.5 octave premium Fatar keyboard with velocity and aftertouch. Which one of you said, or was it you? I don't know, I might have been talking to somebody else. Said this was kind of Hydrasynth territory.
Yeah, it was
That
me.
was you. Yeah,
for
come on,
price.
Chris. Yeah, justify that.
That's so. I mean, obviously, with this, you get all analog, and when I first saw it, I was like, "How are they doing it so cheap?" Assuming that this price is correct, like, what has been sacrificed for it? Because you have the Pro 3, like, well, this is actually Poly 5, so what sacrifice? And it seems to be, like the wavetable stuff, which I'm not that big into, so I gave that up pretty easy. Bummer, it doesn't have the Oberheim filter, as it looks like. So that's kind of a, that would be something that would be nice. But yeah, when you start comparing features, man, that's going to be tough. I think it'll still sell well. I think it's going to be, incredibly popular. But if I were in the market, I was thinking, well, Hydrasynth keyboard or this, I'd probably go Hydrasynth on it. The thing is for me, like, there's so many good synthesizers in that price range right now, and it's really smart of Sequential to kind of hit in there because, within that range, all the polys that are coming out in that range, and plus you'll be competing with most likely be competing with the Behringer Polys, which have much higher voice counts.
Yeah.
So that'll be something that'll be competition. I'd rather see something. It would be maybe interesting to take the route of Novation and UDO and do the FPGA oscillators, and then have an analog back end, because that has proven to be a really good sounding combination. But I think this should be a really great thing. But why only 128 and 128 presets?
Yeah.
That seems crazy to me. And it kills, like, as a synth manufacturer, you want to have people designing presets and selling presets for your synthesizers, because that'll make it attractive, of course, for people to buy your synthesizers. If there's tons of people doing this, but if you only have 128 user on there,
I don't understand that, because like memory nowadays, I mean, a patch, the size of a patch, the data of a patch is going to be tiny, isn't it? Because it's just numbers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So why not just stick some just decent, because memory is so cheap, and have 1024. I mean, Polybrut's got 768, the Cobalt's got 500, and I still think the 500 presets is a little bit stingy, because I'm still having to swap out, because it's just chock full of good sounds. Yeah, odd one.
And one of the problems with the Prophet 6 and OB6 is that, as you receive it, you're stuck with 500. I mean, had they come with 1,000 presets, but you're stuck with 500 of the factory ones, which if you don't want those, then you have to invest into some software to go and override those, which you can do. And so, like, at 1,000, like, that's really decent. I expect everything is going to have, almost infinite. But like when we're talking about the Moog 1, obviously it's at a different price range, but at least they had the foresight to say you have pretty much unlimited. I mean, they're talking like, 10,000 or more that you could put on a Moog 1 for presets. So
yeah,
like you said, it's cheap. So why not on some of these lower price ones as well?
Yeah, it's just silly. And I mean, the one thing I really like about the Polybrute with its patch management is that you have the Polybrute Connect app, and you can create projects, and you can dump a collection of presets into a project and then just swap those in and out. So you can have a project that contains all of your factory stuff and maybe some more, and then you can build a new project for maybe a live session or whatever, and just swap that project in, and it's there. And then when you want to go back to the factory presets that were all there, you just double click it, it's there, it's done, and it doesn't take it takes a few seconds to go across. So that kind of gets around 768 patch slots is not a limitation really, but it gets around that quite nicely, and more companies I guess should do it. Ben, any thoughts on this one? Initial thoughts?
It's a strange. I don't like the name. I think the name's awful, but I suppose.
But you've got a personal reason to begrudge the name.
Well, they've robbed my band's icon, haven't they?
Yeah.
The E on the take is exactly the same as our E in Electromantics.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, go and sign up to our Facebook page and have a look.
Nice plug. Nice plug.
Have a look at the website electromantics.com. It is there. Yeah. So they've took 5 keys away from a 4-octave keyboard, haven't they? That's
yeah.
And given that the name, as Kent says, it could be reference to the Prophet 5. It seems as though it's a Polyphonic Pro 3. God knows what we're going to get in the end, but I think the price is really good. I think that, I've got the Prophet 6. I don't know if I need it, but if it sounds really great, I'd be interested in a desktop version. I know that like Sequential's done that with all of the recent synths, so I've got good reason to believe that they might do that with that, and that'd be even cheaper, and you wouldn't have to put up with the ridiculous amount of keys on it. You could just, because it takes up a lot of room that for a keyboard that you're probably never going to really use. It's like who's going to play pads on a 3.5 octave keyboard? You're not going to do it.
It's very true.
It's stupid. So a desktop version makes loads of sense. You put it through your 5-octave whatever and play away. And but kudos to them. It's great that they're entering the lower, the lower priced options, and I hope it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Also lacking CV gate sync ports, which seem to be fairly standard nowadays on most modern synthesizers.
The cuts have to be somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And
I know, but that's crazy because when you got something like this that has CV and gate and that stuff on here, and we're talking $300 or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it costs that much to put it on there.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and as I think Adamski said in the chat, let's hear it first before judging. Absolutely, I can't wait to hear it, and I'm sure being a sequential synth, and with that pedigree, with whatever it's got in there, I'm sure it'll sound absolutely lovely, and we'll all probably go, oh, do you know what? We slated that for its 44 keys, but blimey, it doesn't half sound good. Yeah. But then again,
yeah, and that's totally the thing. It's got to have its own character because the synthesizers that it's coming up against in that price range are going to clean its clock feature-wise.
Yeah.
All the the Hyder synth, all the Behringer stuff, they're just going to destroy it on paper. So it's got to really deliver in the sound quality.
I reckon it will. I think it will.
Yeah, and think for a live synth. I mean, this would make for a studio. I don't think this makes as much sense, but for a live synth, aside from the short keyboard, this looks like it has got everything that you'd really want on there. And with the effects engine and everything else.
Yeah,
it looks a bit Access Virus Dark Star.
Yeah, it does a bit. Yeah.
It pinched a lot of the parts from the Pro 3 by the looks of it.
It does, yeah. Maybe that's part of the thing is that they don't have to go out and redesign anything. They can just. It seems an odd name as well. Take 5. It's not very synthesizery. I don't know. What was the obviously you had the Prophet 5 back in the day, and the cheap version of the Prophet 5 was the Pro. Is it the Pro 600 or something like that? I can't remember. Poly 600? Or what was it called?
Poly 600 came a bit later, didn't it?
Yeah, and that wasn't that marketed as a budget Prophet 5?
Yeah, it was a contender up against the cool Poly 6, but it was still £400 more expensive than the cool Poly 6.
Yeah, I just wondered, what. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
I mean, here's the clever thing though: is you put 5 in the title, and now everybody is saying Prophet. It's not marketed at all so far as we've seen. We're all speculating here, but it's not marketing anything to do with the Prophet other than it looks like it could be based on the Pro 3, which is based on the Pro 1, which seems to be based on a single voice of a Prophet 5. It's clever. You've already got the connection in your head, this should sound good and it should be in the Prophet 5 territory, but we don't know if it will or not.
Yeah. I have to say, if I had the choice, I would probably carry on saving up for a Prophet 5 Rev 4 because I'm definitely in for one of those one day, whether it's a 5 or a 10. But there we go. I mean, it's an interesting thing. Thanks to Tom for breaking that one as well at synthanatomy.com. So that was leaked on a Dutch retail website. But and of course the other thing. It is only 5 voice. Now, it wasn't that long ago that we were slating the Polybrute for only being 6. And my personal opinion is that I've not really found that to be an issue. And nobody slates the Prophet 5. But is this... could they have gone a bit further with this? I don't know.
Oh, they could have.
I mean, this would... on a 44-note keyboard's going to be a disaster.
Yeah. But it leaves them room to make another version of this, right? That would be, more money, but then it would give you, the full 4 or 5 octaves, give you some more voices.
Yeah.
That they could do that in a future. And so people buy into this one, they're like, oh, wait, now they're making that other one, and then go through the buying process again, I want to upgrade again.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's got digital oscillators, hasn't it? I presume it doesn't say VCOs on there anywhere. So
2 analog VCOs per voice.
oh,
Yeah.
all right.
According to the leaked information,
Right.
2 analog VCOs per voice with continuously variable wave shapes, which seems to be the sort of thing these days.
Interesting.
Yes. But, look, I got excited because it was a piece of new hardware that, in this very barren times at the moment.
It's great news.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take 5. Take 5, yes, I will. So there you go. If you want to read more about that, go to synthanatomy.com, and it's in the leaks and rumours section of Tom's excellent website there. So please,
He does get some good stories on there, don't he?
He's got a good nose.
We need we need a poll in the chat for Dave Brubeck or Candy Bar.
Yeah,
Because
quite.
I immediately I saw Andrew had also posted about the 5.4 on our Facebook group, and I thought that's what I thought of first too. But a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Candy Bar."
Yeah, true. Yeah.
If they do a 10 voice version, the Take 10, will it have even less keys? Or how are they going to deal with that?
It'd just be 1 octave.
2 manual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Double manual.
2 44 key manuals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, anyway.
Finished organ.
Yeah. So there you go. Sequential circuits, take 5. It's not sequential circuits, it's just sequential now, isn't it?
Before we move on, before we move on, would you rather have the 3.5 octave keyboard or more keys, slimmer keys to fit in the same space? Like Korg do them slim key things, don't they? Where they're not mini keys. They're just.
I've not tried. I've not had the misfortune of trying any of those.
I don't like them myself. I was just wondering.
I've got fat fingers, so
yeah.
It depends on the key. I mean, there's some like I was playing the Monologue and the Jupiter XM, and I hated the key beds on those.
Right.
But I've got a what's the Arturio one? Key Step.
Right.
And I mean, for the size and what it is and the cost, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not nice like playing some nice Fatar key bed, but I don't know. At that case, it would be nicer just to have a module that you use with something else that you have.
Yeah. Not a fan of the mini.
I think this would be popular as a module, which I'm, they should think about doing that.
yeah,
I'd be interested in that, I reckon.
yeah, definitely. Well, there you go. Sequential. Take 5 is the first kind of new exciting hardware news that we've had for some while, so at least that's one good thing. Hopefully we'll start seeing a few more items trickle through. But we have been quite bereft of good, interesting news items. This was another one that appeared on our radar. This is from the Russian company behind Sound Objects, and it's the Sound Object GEK.KON, which has been developed with this lady Tulpa Dusha, who also goes under the artist name of is it Moon something? I can't remember what it is now. I do apologise. But yeah, it's this. It's basically a monophonic digital lo-fi synthesizer, and the oscillator generates a waveform that contains digital artifacts which we can smooth with a simple analog filter. Doing so brings new sounding, just new sounding, according to the bad English here, giving us a spectrum from lo-fi till vintage timbres. So let's see if we can hear a bit of this.
Everyone, the next sound object that I want to show to you is GEK.KON.
GEK.KON is a monophonic digital lo-fi synthesizer. Oscillator generates a waveform that contains digital artifacts, which we can smooth with a simple analog filter. Smoothing the waveform brings new sounding, giving us a spectrum from lo-fi to vintage timbres.
Sounds quite interesting, but wasn't there a time when we absolutely hated having digital artifacts, and now it's a thing? Now it's a feature. Obviously, a Eurorack style module. It's going to be. Oh, does it have the price? There's no price at the moment, I don't think. I thought I saw a price somewhere. But anyway, thoughts on this one? This really doesn't interest me at all. What do you think, Ben?
I was just a bit bemused by it, really. It's like it's a lo-fi monophonic synth, and it sounds as though it's like drowned in reverb there.
Yeah.
So you can't really tell what it sounds like. But I can get stuff like that out of stuff I've already got. You know what I mean? I can lo-fi things easily. It's quite easy to mangle stuff. I think it's better that it sounds good to start with, and then you damage it the way you want. Not that it sounds how they want it damaged, and then you've got to try and make it fit into what you do. I think I don't really get that. I think I'd rather have something that sounded nice, and then if I want to dirty it up and mangle it to bits, I will.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought it was interesting. I liked it at first when she first started messing with it, and then it kind of went off a bit. I thought, yeah, that's an interesting sound, but it's so easy to get on your other stuff that, for me, anyway.
It seems to me like the Eurorack world seems to be kind of full of things that do a lot of stuff that other things do, but it's just a case of finding the one that you kind of feel an affinity with. What do you think, Kent?
Well, I mean, I watched the video and I listened to the synth, and honestly, I actually would like to be able to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Because let's face it, I mean, a 90-year-old tramp can crack his underpants. If you put it through 20 seconds reverb, it'll sound good. So, what's the... You know, I'm not hearing... All I'm hearing is very nice reverb. I'm not hearing what the thing actually sounds like.
Very true.
Yeah.
Because you're going on about smoothing the digital artifacts. I couldn't hear any to start with. What was going on? So, you know, I'm not quite sure what I was listening to.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it did. Yeah, the reverb was like, really. I just get rid of it. I just want to hear what. I want to hear those digital artifacts being smooth without being, processed through, buckets of effects. Apparently, this is the second module that they've developed in conjunction with Tulpadusha. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who I've seen a lot of. She does a lot of these, kind of live modular jams, which I have to say, with all due respect to her, it's not my scene. But yeah, I mean, if this is another tool that you can experiment with, all power to you. Something you want to add to your collection, Cryss?
Not really. For the price, comparing things, in a range, to me, that what would take the cake would be the Dreadbox Typhon. I still want one. I just don't need one, so I haven't bought it yet. But and especially with the updates that they came out with, was it this week? I don't remember.
Yes, version
it's looking
4,
really great. So that's a competition, and maybe they're trying for different markets. But I think they're so, like, the little desktop boxes. You are kind of hitting the same audience. So to me, that would be one to beat. You got to do something better than that. And I hope they do. I mean, I hope all these little companies really, work on innovating and making some cool products. And I think Dreadbox is a good example of that. But that's probably where I would spend my money.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's the Sound Objects GEK.KON. Again, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's sound-objects.com is the website.
As we say about the demo there, it's covered in reverb and we can't tell what it's like. They should really look at that and do like a cleaner version of some kind of demo. Because you might find that it is something that you could really make use of. But like, all I can hear is it used in ambient kind of Newman-esque things, and it's the wrong demo for it. Sorry.
I liked your point about you can already mingle stuff so easily, and we've talked
Yeah.
about, and right now what is in vogue, at least by what's being released. So just seeing what companies think are popular. Are those lo-fi plugins, tape simulations? You got your sweetie there. But all these things, and we're covering one this week. But like I've been using the Tritic Flaw, which I've really enjoyed, and the Aberrant DSP cassette or cassette 2 or whatever it's called. But there's so many great things that you can make the stuff that you have. Now, of course, well, I'm coming at it working in a DAW, so like hardware. But even with hardware stuff, there's so many pedals and things that you could just add, and it would take care of all the synthesizers that you have.
Yeah. Anyway, well, if it floats your boat, it's there. It's not doing it for us, I don't think, but there you go. Let's carry on with a bit of hardware. I think we were going to talk about this maybe last week, but we didn't get the time. So a couple of modules here that we just want to sort of go through. This is from AMSynths. This is the JPO4 high pass and low pass filter. So apparently it's a replica of the filters from the Jupiter 4, a 4-pole low pass filter, and a single pole OTA high pass filter, which is 14 HP wide and retails for just a mere £140, which I thought was quite reasonable if that's your thing. I couldn't tell you a Jupiter 4 filter if it came and bit me on the doodah. But I suppose this is a nice welcome addition to the world of Eurorack. Anyone want to pass comment on this? Because Eurorack's not my scene.
If it sounds like a Jupiter 4 filter, I wouldn't mind having a blast of it in this modular system that I've yet to even think about building. Got the frame, got nothing in it. Don't even know how to send power to it once it's got something in it. But eventually I will delve into it, but I think I'll just do what Cryss said he did. I'd just build a really expensive mono synth, but I wouldn't mind if that does sound like the Jupiter 4 filter. I wouldn't mind that in it. Yeah.
Kent, was there anything like unique about the Jupiter 4 filters?
Well, one thing that seems to go under the radar most of the time is there was 2 types of Jupiter 4. There's the Mark 1 and the Mark 2.
Right.
This filter is based on the design of the Mark 1.
Okay.
The early puppy, which means that what they have done is they have recreated the BA662 OTA chip.
Right.
And probably stuck a FET on the end of each one. So there should be about 5 of them, I think, something like that in the chain. Which is interesting because the Mark II used a custom Roland IC. I think it's
Right.
3109, IR 3109 chip. So this is the early one. So So that's a good thing. But I noticed that the chip was in the same configuration as the original BA662. So there must be another IC that's now been recreated.
Right. Okay.
So Jupiter 8s can be repaired.
Yay. Let's have a look at that. We're going to bring this up here. There we go. That's the rear of the module there.
Yeah,
So is that the little chip there? The little.
No,
That's
those
an op amp.
I was say that.
ones.
Oh right, yes, yeah.
I
Those
see.
long black ones, and each one has a FET next to it.
Oh yeah.
So it's those 3, and then there should be 4, and then the one at the bottom as well.
That one there.
And the other one is probably for resonance or output, or
Okay.
whatever they've decided. So they've literally recreated the original Mark 1 Jupiter 4 filter.
So that in itself is probably quite an interesting thing.
So the BA662, that'd be like what was used in the Juno 6 and 60, right? And the later JPO4 filter would be like what was used in the Juno 106. Do I have that correct?
That kind of effect. So, but the BA662 was also a convenient BCA as well. So, I mean, the Jupiter 8 must have, my God, 200 of them in it.
Yeah.
And they're rocking horse shite, and you know, they're a few pennies if you can find them. So if they're recreating them, that's brilliant. So that module alone is great, regardless of how it sounds. For me.
Well, who was it? Is it Cool Audio? That's the Music Tribe company.
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're remaking the BA662 because we just heard about that with the RD8 Mark II having it.
Yeah. Yeah. And as Andrew's just pointed out, I just remembered this. Didn't the guy from AMSynths work with Behringer on the 2600 and the 2500? And he's right, he did. Because he was the I remember seeing those videos. So what do you think the source of these chips are? Is it going to be Cool Audio, or is it just have they? I don't know.
The rumour I heard, it was two geezers in Lithuania. That's all.
All right.
That were designing the ICs. Well, they're probably being manufactured in China.
Yeah.
But these two guys are really good at recreating old tech in a new way.
Nice.
But
That gives some hope.
You know, building it in a different way. They've literally recreated the chip again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means that can be, well, they may have changed the pin configuration just to annoy people.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Yeah, because I would think that some of the market for
the you know, the SSM 2044 recreation, mate. I forget his name.
Dave Ross
did the SSM filter chip again, but he did the pins in a different configuration, so you cannot put them like straight into the Profit Grid too.
Ah.
You can, and
bang,
you know.
Yeah.
So
yes,
this is kind of how it would go. But but this is all good. I mean, because I went to buy 5 ICs this week.
Yeah.
For an ARP Omni, the very same ARP Omni that's torn the side out of Nellie's ribcage. And I used to buy these ICs for about, I think, somewhere in the region of about 28 to 50p, depending where I got them from. And the cheapest place I could find them in any amount is now £20. And that's happened in the last 4 months.
Right.
And ARPs are full of them.
Yes.
So somebody needs to create them. Behringer.
Yeah.
Go on, Behringer, go on.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, that's a lot of,
laughing.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said that if there's one good thing that comes out of Music Tribe, it is the fact that they are reproducing a lot of these chips, which is, it's got to be good, I suppose.
Can't be denied.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this has always been a concern for vintage music gear owners, is to, like, where do you find these replacement parts? And to see Cool Audio and X-Vive and, you know, and also companies like Sovtech, which are still making tubes in, as last I heard, Russia and China. You know, that's something that there's still a pretty big market for. So it's good to be able to have these. And I mean, I've been thinking about maybe after the art project is done that I would replace the Bucket Brigade devices in my Juno 106 because they're really noisy, and just take care of some of the other stuff in there while I was at it on the core circuit. But it's nice to know that I'll be able to find something that will fit in there.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, there we go. That is AMSynths JP04 high pass and low pass filter module. It's £140. They're currently out of stock, but stock is due any day now, according to the website. So,
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The delay and everything always gets me on this. Sorry. I in honor of our Dark Lord of Synth, Kent being on the show today, you know.
Go hold it up again. Make it full screen. There we go.
And there he is.
Love it.
Bath sponge.
Yeah.
In all of his glory.
The force is strong with him.
There we go. Right, so kind of coming off that, slightly related. Now, I think didn't we speak about this one before? But we actually now have a video Let me just find this and bring this onto the screen. This is the G-Storm Electro SH5 VCS. Let's play this. Bring the volume up. I think we agree that sounds quite interesting. Just getting slightly boring. That's the SH5 VCF filter, which clearly has a lot of fun stuff inside there. Again, it's Eurorack. It's not really anything that I'm particularly interested in, but it is a very characterful filter for sure. Again, let's go to our expert in the room, Kent. Does this pass muster compared to the originals?
I don't know. Leave me alone. Another module, yeah. Yeah, probably. The thing is when I hear demos like that, it's just a nightmare because that is the sort of noises that I'm constantly trying to get out of synthesizers.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what they're doing on their own, and I have to go in there and stop it. People want it. Please make it stop doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that that sort of it's like a bamboo fence sound to it. It's got that woody kind of lattice work kind of sound to the filter. But I never really thought much of the SH5 filter anyway.
No.
So, yeah, it was alright. I mean, I think I preferred the CS30 filter to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like the lower SHs, the 1 and 2 and 3A and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I imagine it probably does. It's been such a long time since I've heard an SH5 anyway.
Yeah.
I assume that it probably sounds, a little bit like it.
But an interesting filter nonetheless. I mean, if Sasquatch has just said something that's very valid. You shouldn't be comparing one thing to another, but judging it in its own capabilities, which is true. And I guess this is. I mean, we're judging it against the SH5 because it's trying to be an SH5 VCF. That's really the only reason we're doing that. But I appreciate that it should be judged on its own merits, and I'm sure it's a nice new tool to have in your Eurorack should you be that way inclined. What do you think, Cryss?
Yeah, so really like G-Storm. I think they make great sounding modules, and you do a lot of classic filter designs. I have the 10 channel? Something like that, 12 channel mixer on my Eurorack. In fact, you can just barely see it somewhere over there. Really great product. So this is still in the demo stage, and I wish it would have been a more musical demo of it. I'm sorry, he's still working on it. It's not in production yet. This was just an update. So yeah, the sound of the video, there's nothing going on. There's nothing musical. I like the interesting play between the filters on this module, especially as you get toward the end, and it got very valley. So while I would say I enjoy the later Roland filters a lot better, most of the time, gotta say, like, there's so many Moog ladder filters and Roland filters. I've got a Jupiter 6 style filter on in my Euro rack. There's so many of those that it's kind of interesting to see something that's not as common, as not as popular, and also has a much different topology to it. So I think like once we start hearing some musical demos of these, it should be a lot more interesting to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently, the first batch is going to be available this coming Tuesday.
Nice.
So I think they sell through Reverb. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. So go to reverb.com and you'll be able to find that there. But yeah, I think that rounds up all of our hardware news. All 3 items, I think it was. So let's move to some software, because what we are going to do later on, and thank you for everyone that's submitted questions so far on our Facebook page to throw at Mr. Spong to get his immense knowledge applied, and maybe we can come up with some answers for you there.
We probably won't see you again after tonight.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Screw that. Yeah, so this one, I found this one interesting. I'm teetering on the edge. Okay, so some years ago, I got an email saying, get the Harrison Mixbus DAW for like, $19. And I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Here's a DAW that can run across all platforms, Linux, PC, Mac, and if I ever needed something like that, well, it's only going to cost me $20, and if I never use it, then I've only lost $20. And every time they update it, it's another $19, and I think, well, okay, we'll do that. But they keep bombarding me with emails saying, upgrade from regular Harrison Mixbus to the Mixbus 32C DAW, which apparently is an accurate model of the Harrison 32 series mixing desk, which has had many famous albums recorded on it. So their adverts tell me, including albums like Thriller and Rhythm Nation and a whole bunch of other things from the 80s and the 90s. And it's apparently got a sound, but they want another, now they want more money from me. And I've kind of been tempted and thought, no. Now what they've done is they've actually taken what they call, and this is their words, not mine, the greatest hits of the channel strip from one of those synths, one of those boards, and put it into a universal plugin. So it's VST audio units, AAX. It takes the 32C EQ, the 32C filters, and the Mixbus channel compressor into a single channel strip plugin, which is available now for a budget price of $49. Let's have a quick look at the demo video.
Introducing the 32C channel plugin, the new cross-format plugin that brings Harrison's true analog sound to your digital audio workstation in your studio, and will change the way you think about channel strip plugins. For more than 45 years, Harrison analog consoles have been a mainstay in studios around the world. The Harrison 32 series was used on countless renowned albums, generating the sounds that we all carry in our hearts today. The 32C channel plugin is the latest high-end product from Harrison, based on the original Harrison 32C analog console from 1975. Just like Harrison's acclaimed Mixbus 32C workstation, introduced in 2016, the 32C channel plugin uses a complex emulation of the original Harrison 32C EQ. Every resistor, capacitor, and transistor is included in the model. Now,
we get the idea. So, finally, they have taken the thing that gives you the 32C sound and made it into a channel strip plugin, which seems to be a very densely populated market these days. And now you can have that Harrison sound in your DAW, whether you're using Logic or Cubase or Reason or Studio One or whatever it might be, rather than having to invest in their DAW and use it that way. The main complaints I've heard about this is that it's missing some of the things that really make a difference, such as tape saturation that came with that channel strip, and a couple of other things that are missing. And I've read a lot of comments saying, well, if it hasn't got those, it's not really giving me what I want. And it seems like they've held back on those, because otherwise what would be the point of buying their DAW to get all of that stuff? But I do like the way that they've laid this out, and I'm just trying to find a picture of it that isn't just like kind of cropped out. But every let me just bring this up here. So every aspect of this channel strip you have like a little ear icon, and you can take each element. So you can take the compressor out or leave it in. You can take the filters out, so you can actually just swap in and swap out each aspect of this channel strip and hear what it's doing to your sound. Slightly out of shot here, you can also order the way that the filter, the compressor, and the EQ are. So you can either compress first, then stick it through the EQ, then stick it through the filters, or you can stick it through the filters first, then so you can mess around with the way it does that. And best of all, I love VU meters. I don't know why. It's just I'm an old person. I do like a good VU meter, and this is it's one of the prettiest VU meters I've seen. Anyway, it was supposed to be retailing for $89.99. It's on offer at the moment at $49 from their website. Do we need a new channel strip? Is this one that you might be in the market for? Anyone? Cryss, I know you're like me. You've got some of the BX, the Brainworks stuff. The SSLs and the Neve stuff. I personally love that SSL, but I am slightly tempted by this purely because of the history and the legacy of Harrison, what it's been used on. I mean, if something's been used on Thriller, for God's sake, I mean, it's got to be good, because that was one of the greatest sounding albums ever.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Like, the competition, in my mind, would be some of the brands under Plugin Alliance. So that includes Brainworks and Lindell Audio. Also makes some great stuff. And was a little disappointed that it includes some of the other component modeling in there. You mentioned that they didn't have like the transformer saturation, things like that, right? Is that correct?
Tape saturation.
Tape saturation?
Yes,
okay.
Apparently.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure, like, because the Brainworks stuff don't have tape saturation in the channel strip either. But they would have the signal path, modeled, and the saturation, the transformer saturation, that kind of stuff, which to me adds to part of the character. Because if it's just EQ curves, I mean, it is convenient to have a channel strip that just has nice musical, center frequencies, and well, of course, these they have semi-parametric, but there's got to be something that makes it worth using, because when you have something like the stock Logic EQ or like Fab Filter, which are very visual representations, they're very easy to use in that regard, and you can check things. You can look at things as you're listening to it, and then make adjustments from there rather than just seeing where knobs are. So there's got to be something in the sound that is going to be convincing. And if it does that Harrison sound, then which I'm not that familiar with. So one of the nice things these days, whether you've worked on some of these great consoles or not, you at least have a rough idea of what the SSL sound is versus API or Neve, and you can kind of get a flavor of that in your own home studio. And I completely agree with you. Like the Brainworks SSL 4000E is the top for me right now. I love that, and I use that channel strip on a lot of stuff. But I think this was good for them to do, and to release it as a plugin for other DAWs, because I'm not going to mess with any of the other Harrison stuff. So for somebody like me, like, well, can I use this in my DAW? And that's why I have been using Brainworks and Lindell Audio and others. Yeah,
I mean, what I admire about Harrison and what they've done with the Mixbus platform is that they've taken Ardor, which was this open source digital audio workstation that I think was originally a Linux thing, and then has expanded to be cross-platform, so you can run it on PC and you can run it on Mac as well, which is great. I mean, I love anything that allows anyone to use it regardless of what choice operating system they have. So I like that they've taken that open source model and then they've embellished it with their designs, their plugins. A lot of their kind of native plugins that work with just the Harrison Mixbus are quite good, and you get a bunch of those kind of added in when you buy the DAW itself. But as you said, I mean, do I want to have another DAW just to get that sound? Because I hear a lot of people use Harrison Mixbus as they'll create something and then they'll put it all out in audio files, and then they'll load it into Harrison, and to get that musical sound that it's apparently so famous for. But other than that, I just think this is a great idea. However, it does seem they've scrimped a little bit on the feature set, probably to not detract from their own platform. And I think maybe they should just ditch the platform, or just have it as an option, but maybe go balls out, if you pardon the phrase, on the plugin, because clearly, people like Plugin Alliance. Is it Plugin Alliance that do the BX stuff? I always get the names mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Plugin Alliance.
Brainworks are all connected through Dirk. Yeah.
So they've just gone all out, and they've you want an SSL? Here's the SSL, and we've got the G, and we've got this, and we've got that. We've got the Neves. And you can pick and choose what you want, and you might want to mix and match as well. So why don't they just do a decent 32C channel, charge 150 instead of 90, and then they're making their money that way, because 150 in the world of channel strips, because the Brainworks stuff can be 200, 300, can't it?
Well, yeah, I mean they start at like 350, but you're kind of foolish to buy them at that price, so they all drop to under $100. And if I could just add two more things to that, the layout on this Harrison one looks nice, and it has the same kind of features as the Brainworks have, where you can move modules in and out or rearrange the order of them in the audio path. But one thing that kind of kills me about this, compared to Brainworks, the newer Lindell, and then also the SSL, their own branded plugins, which are fantastic too. That's the other one that I use a lot, is the look of the GUI, whereas this feels a little more like, again, I call it cartoonish, but like it looks like a 15-year-old plugin or something, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but when you look at some of the Brainworks stuff in particular, the GUI looks really nice. If you're going to make it look like hardware, by God, make it look like hardware.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I must say the Harrison stuff, it's simple. It looks nice and simple. It's very clear, but as you say, it's kind of basic. Ben, are you a channel strip guy? Do you go for different sorts of these?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of it. At the minute, I'm just using like Cubase's on channel strip. That's got like elements that you can turn on and off. You've got like compressor, EQ, gate, limiter, tape saturation, all like permanently inserted into each channel. So I do use them, but they're not well known for the musical tone. So I am on the lookout for something a little bit more hefty that's going to add something to the overall productions, and I haven't got like a great deal of money at the minute, so this ticks a lot of boxes for me. I'm hoping that it's also like not very heavy on the processor, because if you stick like 20 of these, or 32, inserted onto tracks, then it's going to start eating away at your resources. But it's at a good price, especially at the introductory offer. I wouldn't necessarily miss any tape saturation, I don't think, because there's other plugins for that. True. That I can bung in. But yeah, I am interested. I might actually have a go at this one.
Yeah, I downloaded the demo.
I've got the demo. And I haven't really had a chance to have a go of it. I've downloaded it, installed it, and had a quick look at it, but not really. I've not put it on a lot of tracks to see if the overall tone, like, it improves of a full project. But yeah, definitely. I think like you said, Robbie, it's a great move to get away from this door that you've got to kidnap people, get them off the door. I reckon. It's like it's something that they're really attached to, and
it's a very audio focused door. Is the Harrison mix bus? It doesn't do MIDI very nicely, in my opinion. I've never, every time I've tried to use plugins, synthesizer plugins, and trying to route it to hardware, it's just too difficult. So, yes, Interesting. Kent, should I say? Any thoughts on this one?
No, I got channel strips coming out of the wazoo, and I don't really use them anyway.
Fair enough.
I got bundles of the UAD ones, and well, if you heard my music, you'd know why would you bother putting anything on it? Just, just burn it where it stands. So no, I wouldn't. I'm not really. I don't hear the. They go, oh yeah, you get this sound with that sound. I go, do you? Okay. Yeah. I don't hear it.
Mm.
Usually it just rounds things off and make them a little bit distorted, I think. But
because I used to spend all my years trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
It's like doing tape saturation, you're going, no, I want to get away from that.
Mm.
I was always striving to get crystal clear.
Yeah. So when like CD and DAT came out, we were all going mental because it had no tape saturation noise on it. It was like, oh, here we go. But it can add so much, can't it? It just adds like
it's nice
if
to
you
have
use
the
it in
choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can have the choice.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know what I'm doing in here half the time anyway. So a channel strip is like me or whatever. I'll put one on and see what it does. And if I like the sound, I'll leave it there until we can go, oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like that.
I came up with
knowing what's going on.
I came up with a tune. You have these late night sessions and you stumble across something and it was sounding. When you get a real buzz off it, like you wanna. I was going on holiday a couple of days later and I wanted to take the track on holiday with me so I could listen to it. I was that made up with it, and when I got back off this little breakaway, I went. I had this raw track that sounded great, and I played it to Vicky, and Vicky said, "Oh, that's really, really good. That one, you've come up with something great there." So I thought, right, it's time to take this from its rough stage into its totally produced stage. So I went to town on it, spent like about 3 nights on it, and thought I'd done a really good job. And I played it to her and she said, I preferred it the way it was at first. It's like just this like dead rough drum machine with a bass line and a vocal over top was better than this Trevor Horn effort I'd done a couple of days later.
Well,
that
reminds
me there might be something wrong with me, to be honest. Because remember, funny enough, on that record I showed you earlier, the
Some Bizarre
album, the version of Photographic and Being Boiled by
Boiled,
you, I prefer that to what came out on the single. When I heard the single, I went, oh, no, it hasn't got all the dirt and grit on it.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? So you can...
It is.
Some things you want to be as clear and crystal and as beautiful as possible, and other things you just want to be as filthy as possible.
Yeah, like my wife. Yeah, so it reminds me of this. There's a really good, if you go onto the Sound on Sound website, it's available, it's kind of like open, is it Sound on Sound? It might be on Musings, or it might be on both. The story of What's Love Got to Do With It by Tina Turner, and the way that track evolved. So they started off with just basically a Linn drum and a DX7 and something else, I can't remember what. And they just built this track. And then they got Tina to sing her vocals. And then they went off and they got, not an orchestra, but got a string section. They got a live drummer to play to it. And they put all of this stuff on. They thought it was going to be massively fantastic. And then, because of some kind of cock-up in the studio... they had to, for some reason, go back to the original, and they just heard that the original, this very sparse track, because when you listen to that song, it is very sparse. There's not a lot going on. It just sounded way, way better than the massively overproduced thing, because it just did. And also, the producer, I forget his name now, said it was the lesson I learned from that was to never get somebody to sing to a track that isn't going to be the end result.
Wow.
Because when they put all the strings on, Tina's not singing to those. She's singing to the Linn and the DX7 and something else. So and it's a really fascinating article in terms of building a track from nothing to something and then having to strip it all away and and come back with to what was that raw element, because that was just, it was good. It was just good
To that point, my favorite example of that would be "The Long and Winding Road" by the Beatles. The song that I mean, as a huge Beatles fan, that was like one of the worst ones for me. I hated that song, couldn't stand it, skip it every time I came to it. And then when they came out, I don't know, it was like in the 90s maybe, George Martin did a remix of the album, and I think they called it like "Let It Be Naked."
That's right, yeah.
And stripped it all away, and you hear George's Leslie Telecaster, and you hear Paul as arrangement as he wrote it. I was like, well, this is a really beautiful song. This is quite amazing without all the Phil Spector crap on there. It was a really nice song, and that just shocked me.
Yeah.
But I think that can be one of those examples where they had it right to begin with, and it shouldn't have been messed with.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a lot of furore at the moment about the George Harrison "All Things Must Pass" album, where a certain person who played on the album is really ripping it to shreds, basically because they've demushed the wall of sound thing that Phil Spector did to it, and they've just brought George's voice a bit more to the fore, and they've sort of brought clarification to a lot of stuff, and people just aren't used to it because it's 50 years old, that album now. Jeez.
Yeah, was that a new release?
Yeah,
with
it came out a couple of weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks
I'll
ago.
have to check that out.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling that Giles Martin might have been involved, but certainly George's son Danny has been involved quite heavily with that. And they've just done a complete new remix of the album, just kind of de-spected it basically. And some people like it, some people don't.
I had a little mixed feelings about some of the Giles Martin stuff. So I really enjoyed Sgt. Pepper and the new stereo mix they did on it. And then while I was checking out the White Album stuff, he ruined some of the bass guitar tracks.
You think?
Where Paul has this really interesting tone, and I'm not going to say it's like it's like the greatest bass tone or whatever, but it's very distinctive, and it was very influential on me, and just the way that you would hear his pick attack and everything on some of these songs. And he shaved off a lot of top end off of the bass guitar on some of those tracks. One that really bothered me was Dear Prudence. So, I mean, there's certain things like when you go to these newer mixes and when they redid some of the Beatles albums, I was like, wow, I can hear everything, but there was a little bit of that. I've been listening to it for decades the other way, and I'm used to that. And so there's a balance of I'm used to hearing it this way, and is this really better? And for a lot of stuff, I thought I just not used to it, but I do think it's better. But there was some things like on the White Album that they did recently where I was like, nah, that was not better. On some stuff, like again, the bass guitar.
Yeah. I have to say, I've not really spent much time with those new stereo mixes because I was more listening to the 5.1 stuff, which is then just, you kind of forget you're listening to it anew a lot of the time when you do that, because it does sound distinctly quite different, and not in a bad way, but I'll have to give those a listen because
it does bring out more details that maybe you didn't notice before, because a lot of the when I got into the Beatles in the early 90s, I mean, I've been listening to the Beatles my whole life in one way or the other, but when I really got crazy about them was the early 90s, and so I had some LPs of the Beatles, and then I had the CDs, those early CD reissues. And so you get used to hearing it a certain way, but to me I'm willing to give it another listen, and some of these new mixes really brought things to light in the recording. They're like, wow, I'd never been able to hear that part so clearly before.
Yeah, I'll tell you what was a revelation to me. And I am a huge Beatles fan. I mean, they were the first records I played because my mum had them. So as soon as I was able to put a record on the record player in the early 70s, it was a Beatles song straight away. And I'd never fully listened to the mono mixes, the original mono mixes of all the albums. Because by the time I started buying Beatles albums in the store, whenever they were reissued, they were the stereo ones where everything's either panned hard left or hard right. And it's just awful mixes. And then when they did the mono remasters, which was about 10 years ago, I think, I listened to those. and they were just mind-blowing. The detail in this mono mix, it was just, I'm all about 5.1 and having everything nicely separated and being able to hear all this stuff. And these mono mixes were absolutely astounding. They were so detailed and so just lovely, lovely things. So I guess it's just the skill of the mixing engineer to mix to that format and get everything balanced just perfectly. It was astounding stuff.
Have you ever mixed anything in mono?
Not personally, no. No.
I wonder if it's more difficult or easy.
Yeah, it's harder because your stereo separation helps you separate things. So where it's useful is if you're working on a mix and you collapse it to mono, you find out if their instruments are competing for the same frequency ranges. You can go, oh man, 500 hertz here. This and this and this are all in that space. I didn't hear it because they were separated out.
Yeah. Anyway, we kind of went off sidetrack there, but it's never a bad thing to get sidetracked by the Beatles. I hate it when I do this. I must turn my hotspots off on my screen because I instantly put it into screensaver mode. Excuse me. Right. Let's do a few little software topics, and then we're going to get in to Kent because we've kind of waffled on a bit here. So let's kind of just cover these as lightly as we can, but without avoiding too much of the detail. So there's a new plugin from Native Instruments, and it's a part of a trilogy of plugins. This one is called Ashlight, and it's kind of a granular based synth type thing. Let me just bring this up on screen like the professional that I am. Why isn't it doing? Oh, there you go, because I have to press that button. Let's have a quick listen to it.
Welcome to a walkthrough of Ashlight, our new instrument for immersive cinematic atmospheres and rhythmic textures. Ashlight is all about dark, suspenseful moods and how you can perform sound in real time. Ashlight explores a dark realm of cinematic styles and complements its siblings Straylight and Farlight with a tougher, more rhythmic palette. Serving this purpose, we recorded metal, carbon, ceramics, glass, and much more to create the base for Ashlight's immersive textures.
So it's another kind of cinematic type plugin, out of the box, pre-produced, ready to go. I like the granular aspect to it, and some of the sounds are very nice, but we're just hearing a lot of that in a lot of these cinematic plugins these days. Kent's nodding his head there, you agree?
Yeah, do you know what this reminds me of, don't you?
No.
Native Instruments Thrill.
Right, I'm not familiar with that.
Which is, I think it was done by Galaxy Instruments, where you have, with that one though, it was two sets of samples,
right,
and you could move between them and move them around, and it done all this evolving and modulation, all this kind of thing. This seems to be the next level on.
Right.
So having a granular synth, having a granular synth.
Hello.
Say greetings. Who was that?
I have no idea. I missed it because I was looking at something else. Fiona, come back.
Oh, yeah, Fiona. Yeah, it's very similar to Thrill, where, like I said, that was just a pair of samples that you could weave between one and the other. But I like this. I must admit. But it's going to be one of those things where, unless you're going to be doing dark thrillers or a documentary on dog sex trafficking or something, it's not really going to be very useful for anything else. It's very much you can sit there and play with it for hours, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to make
Idiot
it?
Here bought it.
And
then played with it and went, oh, look at the time.
So you can tell me then, because it has that square in the middle that it's like an XY pad. Can you map that to something? So or do you have to drag your mouse?
Looks like you looks like you can macro up pretty much anything you want to anyway.
Right. Okay.
So you can use a different controller to run that rather than mess with the mouse.
Right.
If you so desire. I was actually trying to get it to work with because I put it onto the Mac Mini and tried to work it with the iPad, and see there was a little app that I downloaded ages ago, where what you do on there will work on the screen, and it wasn't really working, but I need to spend more time with it to get it to work. And so it was, you can sit down, you can just mess around with it. So the good thing you do is you mess with it, and then you take that track and freeze it as audio, cut it up and use it how you want from there. Throw it on the MPC or do this with it or whatever.
Right,
and then put it into your mixes if you're doing that type of music.
Yes, quite. It does seem to...
It's like, it's very much that kind of thing where it's a set thing.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you controlling the modulation, but what it's doing is pretty much preset.
Yeah.
So I did look to see if you could start dumping your own stuff into it, but I didn't really have time to really get deep.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Sample Logic are a company that have done similar things. Morphestra was one of theirs, and there was another one called Cinema something. And it is this kind of like XY controller in the middle, kind of cross-fading between different samples. Some are rhythmic, some are not. You can mess around, but it's all kind of... it's contact-based. So it's interesting, but I mean, it does seem to me like this is just yet another cinematic type paint by numbers kind of thing that allows you, gives you the illusion of control, but really, actually, like you say, you're kind of...
There is definitely more control in it than there is with, say, what are they called now? Sonic Kinetic.
Oh yes, yeah.
Where that's like phrases.
Yeah.
You play on different keys, and you are really locked in.
Yeah.
To what that does. This allows you a degree
bit more
of freedom.
Yeah. Cool. Ben,
I love the sound of it. I think it sounds great, but again, it's on Contact, and Contact for me doesn't work. It's like it won't work here. I've tried to install it. Cubase just blacklists it straight away. So whether I want it or not, I can't have it. I wish they'd do them like standalone. It'd be great. That.
Yeah, but
it can't be that hard to do that. Just to, Well,
no,
I don't think it's that hard. Like.
Yeah, so it works with a free Contact player.
Yeah, but that's the one that doesn't work for me. Because there's been loads of stuff I wanted to try out. I've not been able to.
I know why it's not working.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I've had this. You've had Contact on that computer before at some point.
Probably.
And there's some DIL files that don't get pulled off on the earlier versions. And if they exist, when it installs, it sees those DIL files and it goes, we won't overwrite them and move on. But they're not physically linked to the operating system.
Right.
Because you uninstalled it.
Mm.
So you have to go to your... you on PC, yeah?
No, I'm on Mac.
Oh, are you? Oh.
Yeah.
Basically, go into your the thing, your web browser. You think not your web browser, your
Finder.
Yeah, Finder. There you go. Still new to Mac. And type in anything to do with Contact or NI or whatever, and just go through the drive, and anything you find, just rip it out.
Yeah. And both your libraries, so user library and then the main library, and then you'll go into like application support, and then you can usually find that stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then just do a clean out of it.
I've got the same problem with that. Do you remember, was it Luscious Plates? Have we ever spoke about that? Or
Rings a bell.
I've got like this warning that comes up every time I put my computer on saying, you need your Luscious Plates demos run out. You need to uninstall. I've got to click this quit thing every time. It really does me head in. So I've deleted all everything that's mentioned Luscious Plates in it. And now when it boots up, it's just a blank screen with a button on it that says quit. So I've deleted all the graphics.
But not the thing that's causing
all the
problem.
graphics, and it's looking for them, but it still runs without the graphics.
Yeah.
So
Crazy. Has a broken registry.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, very quick. Yep.
Yeah, to get back to Ashlight, I really like the sound of it. So this is basically the third in a trilogy with as I said on there, Farlight, which is a vocal granular synthesis, and then Straylight. Yeah. I really especially like Straylight. Sounds very interesting, and then again you can work with a set of samples and then work modulations and all that kind of stuff out. So it's kind of one of the things that is a little bit forgotten about when it comes to these, because you can have stuff like Spitfire, whose libraries I like, but when they do like this kind of cinematic stuff, it's like basically it is what it is. There's not a whole lot of control you have over it, whereas this you do have a lot more control, and can import your stuff. And then one step, well, at least at this level, maybe one step beyond it would be one that we talked about, which was Dawson Abyss, which is distributed by Traction, and it has the same kind of thing, but I think it's a lot easier to use, where it has like a grid of samples. It's almost like XLN XO or Atlas, where they're doing it with drum samples, but with Abyss, you have this cloud of samples. It's a visual interface. You pick them out, and then you can see along a line like what your modulations are doing. And instead of just two samples, you can put a whole bunch in there and have it moving between them. So yeah, these are very interesting. But if you're kind of doing the Spitfire where you're kind of stuck and it's a kind of cookie cutter cinematic stuff, whereas this, there's a lot more opportunity to make interesting and make things your own. And what I would use it for, because I'm not doing any film scoring, so cinematic wouldn't have any appeal to me, but dark ambient music very much does. And so that's how I've been using plugins like these. And so I don't know, I'm gonna have to look into see if you get like a discount if you have this, because I've got Contact
Native Instruments give you a discount?
Yeah. Well, if you're smart about it, you can get it. So I mean, they're that whole complete thing is horribly expensive, and then they have the once a year or once every other year or something where it's half price, and it's like $1,700 or $1,800. Well, don't spend that on it. If you're smart and you do your research, you can get it for under $900 for everything. So that's what I had ended up doing. And so I'm like, well, do I buy this now to have it because it would be very interesting, I'd like to use it, or do I just wait and when they hose me to upgrade to complete whatever 14 or whatever, I'll just wait and get it in that. The only downside though with these. With the Straylight and Farlight that I have used is that they kill CPU.
Right.
It is like, I mean, you're running a couple granular engines in it, so it's pretty tough on a computer. You start getting more than a few notes on even a modern computer, and you're hitting your limits.
Right. Yeah, that's not good. Well, anyway, that's Cinematic Ashlight from Native Instruments, available now. For Contact and Contact Player. You mentioned Spitfire Audio. Funny that, because they've got a new library. It's part of their kind of like $29 range. This is the Pool Project. Oliver Patrice Veda, the Pool Project. Let's have a quick listen to this. So I guess the theme here is that everything's kind of been recorded in a pool house to get that kind of reverberant nature. She looked like she was playing the U-bend from my sync. It was interesting. I don't know. That's obviously some kind of flute, but it goes round the corner. I don't know. Does it play backwards or something? It's very odd. Anyway,
bending notes.
Yes, bending notes. It's another nice little package for it's not very much money at all, £29. Versatile toolkit of unique timbres created by contemporary composer Oliver Patrice Vader for his second sample library. The expert sound curator recorded a variety of instruments and techniques in the remarkable setting of a reverberant pool house. Well, name me a pool house that isn't reverberant. That's the whole point, isn't it? Anyway, very quickly, nice, 29 quid. You know, if you're into that sort of thing.
I think it's nice. The only thing that worries me about it is that it's a dual release. He's released an album called the Peel Project.
That's
and
true.
This sample library, and I worry that like anything that I make with this is going to sound as though it's off his album. You know, but
very true.
There is some like really wonderful sounds in there, and at one point in the video he says like. We got somebody to bring a recorder along, and like it's like recorders are shit. Everybody knows recorders are shit. And he more or less says this. he more or less says this in the video, and then he plays his pad, and it is a wonderful pad sound. It's really good. So try if you don't buy this, try and like get hold of some recorder samples and make a pad out of it because it really works. It's a great sound. At 29 quid. It's worth a punt, isn't it? You know, there is some. You don't have to just make something out of these sounds, do you? No. I was joking before, but like you know, if you're working on something that's kind of a mood piece or something, these are slot right in there. I think.
Yeah, you get a nice selection of stuff there. You got vocal trio recordings, gentle breeze. Solo voices, pianos, toys, including the recorder, percussion, and there's a whole bunch of synth loops in there. And I guess they've all just kind of been recorded in this pool house, which gives it that kind of natural, well, not natural, but you know, a nice, different kind of reverberation. Yeah. Up your street, Kent.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the price is good. There's some nice sounds on there, but in the background. You know, in the back of my mind, I can't help thinking, you know, that. So the trick here is this was recorded over water, and it's separating it from everything else. I mean, they're gonna get now top musicians, dress them up as bunny rabbits, and they're gonna, you know, playing some of the best tunes ever in a cupboard under the stairs. You know. And it'd be the Cupboard Under the Stairs collection.
Stop it, you're giving them ideas.
I know, but that's what it sounds like sometimes. They go, what can we do next for a library? What can we do that's different? That hasn't been done already. What should we do? You know?
The bog sessions.
The bog session.
Violins on a
we recorded a variety of instruments down a toilet bowl.
Hey, but if you think about modulation sources, like, you know, we used an oil to move the bog, and it created the waves created modulation that the reverb was changing its.
We've
micro level.
We've recorded the impulse response of a Head and Shoulders bottle in the shower.
I think with this, like when you see the marking of it, like with that little intro clip, that would have totally put me to sleep. I probably wouldn't have gone any deeper on this. I was like, this is boring. But I actually caught this when they were doing the live stream. So the guy that did the recording was talking through it and playing some of those sounds, like Ben was talking about. And again, I would have just passed over this, but I thought some of the sounds were really good and very musical. And so I can definitely see them being used in other contexts. And so I haven't picked this up yet, but I went to the website, and I you know, some of the Spitfire collections are really extensive and also therefore very expensive. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to find out how much this is because I really like the sound of it. And I was like, well, that's not too bad. $29. That can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you only get like 2 or 3 sounds out of it that you really, really like, then that's $10 a sound. You know, really, it's not it's not too bad.
Definitely worth a look, that one.
Yeah. So that's the Pool Project from Spitfire Audio, their latest in their range of £29 libraries. Last piece of kind of news. This was something we should have done a week or so ago, and we just kind of ran out of time. And this is a free plugin. We love free plugins here. And this one is called Origin. Let me just bring the tab up here because I should have been prepared, but I was too busy looking at other things.
It's good, this.
Isn't it? It's great. Proper, yeah, I wish. So this is Origin. It's a vintage lo-fi plugin created to make your samples sound like they're straight from an old tape machine. I mean, we've had a lot of these kind of things, but this is free and it's kind of pretty in the minimalist sort of way, and it's very simple. I mean, you have a saturation knob, a movement knob, a chorus knob, and a noise knob, and then the big knob in the middle, which is your resampling frequency, and that's pretty much it. And you can mess around with it. And I can't remember what I fed into this, and it was just like I got an arpeggio going, and I was just messing around. And actually, this is kind of useful, and it's very simple. You can get some really good stuff very, very quickly from it, and it's free, so you can't really complain about it. I can't remember, was there a demo video? There isn't a demo video, no. But yeah, it's a free plug. Did anybody else get a chance to play with this?
Yeah, I downloaded it.
Did you use it?
Yeah, I did use it. I did like I got like a drum loop going and put some electric pianos down and give it all that, vintage kind of vibe on it and stuff, and it sounded great. It sounded like it was old,
Yeah.
And like you say, the look of it is great. It's like Chris said earlier, if you're going to make something look like hardware, then do a good job of it, and they have. It looks great. It looks like piece of 1980s hi-fi.
Yeah. What did you think of this, Chris?
I liked it. Again, for free, it's great. It's got a Juno style chorus on there, which is again another one of the things that has become a little more trendy. But that's good because I like Juno style chorus. It's kind of one of those things like where there's so many plugins that will do what you want, and this is definitely the flavor of the moment. So there's a ton of different combinations of tape cassettes and tapes and bit crushing and modulations and stuff. And I've got a collection of them, some free, some paid for, but they're good. It's not something that I think the thing is that a lot of perhaps newer musicians tend to put it on everything, and that's a problem. Is it just gets overdone, and every hipster that is making small box synthesizer music with a top-down camera and a tape recorder's got these sounds going, but it's not bad. So with all these different plugins, these multi-effect plugins, does it do the thing? Does it fit your workflow? We were talking about plugins before. Like there's so many, channel strip plugins. Like there's so many that do kind of the same thing. But which one is the one that speaks to you? And if that gets you to making really great music, then go for it. I think this does a good job.
And you can't lose because it's free. If you don't like it, bin it. You've not lost anything.
Yeah.
How's your tape saturation fetish? Is it satisfied with this, or do you already have stuff that you use, Kent?
I've already, again, I have a large collection of stuff. I should really write them down because I honestly cannot remember what I own anymore. Free and bought. So I do like these sort of plugins where there's just a few controls. I must admit, and you just go, because you somehow play with it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've got a whole array of these things, and you just lose yourself. I like it when it's like if it's got like 3 knobs on it.
So I did, you sort of doing a bit of this.
Oh yeah.
I think when you've got limited controls as well, you tend to go deeper into it, don't you? Because
you've got
what's
the
that like if I have just nudge this like to 5/2? What's that going to sound like? Whereas when you've got like loads of stuff going on, you don't tend to focus as much.
You miss the nuances.
Totally. It can't. You got to get rid of that keyboard in the background. Too many knobs and sliders on that thing. You're going to get lost in it.
Exactly.
So anyway, that's Origin from Cymatics. It's free. You just go to Cymatics.fm. and you can pick that up, and it is properly free. I don't even think you have to give your email address on that one. I can't remember now, but it's nice. It's free. If you don't like it, you've not lost anything. Right, okay, that's all our news topics for the day, which means that we can now concentrate on our expert in the room. And we invited everyone to kind of just throw a list of their questions together so that we could ask Kent his from his wise experience as a synth tech to maybe answer some of those for you. We even came up with a graphic. We were hoping to maybe animate this in some way, and maybe that's something.
I did that.
Maybe it's something we could do. But so this is Kent's synth repair corner. We don't have any fancy jingles as per Mr. Wiggly, aka Dom.
Oh yeah.
What's wrong?
We daren't use, otherwise we'd probably get sued. So talking of Dom, did anybody watch his synth cribs that he did the other day as part of Clownfest? He took us round his. I was going to say studio. It's more like a studio complex. I mean, it's just like room after room after room. This is my studio, which is half studio, half home cinema. And then he moves into another room. This is my lab, and his lab is as big as my house. And then he's got another office, and he's got an office for an assistant as well. I'm like, it's just I've got super synth cave envy. It was just unbelievable. I dream of space like that. I mean, I literally would have to kick everybody out of this house to get space like that. But it was really interesting. So go to Mr. Wiggly's YouTube channel and have a look. It's a fascinating. It's a lovely place he's got there.
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, do that. So Kent, we're going to throw some questions at you that our esteemed viewers have either thrown to us in the chat room or into the Facebook page, and we'll see if we can get be as detailed as you like, be as flippant as you like as well. Because the first question that I've got for you is from Simon Alexander, Captain Simon Alexander. Kent, will you fix my Rev 1?
Yes.
There you go. That's a nice, simple answer. And I'm sure he wasn't expecting that one. How will you fix it, though? With a hammer?
With lots of money.
With fire.
Lots and lots of cash.
Lots of lovely lucre. Mm.
Hey, if you use that voice, you got to put the helmet on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But let's have a proper question first of all. This is from Eric Ribeiro, Pro Synth Network. He says, I have a question for Kent. With on-chip reproducing chips or Alpha, SSI or Cool Audio cloning them, can anything be repaired now? Thinking about vintage gear. Are we at that point now where we're getting closer to everything being repairable?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. As we see more and more of these, recreations, it is breathing new life into the older machines, certainly.
So is it making your job easier?
In some respects, yeah. It's certainly quicker.
Good.
Good. I have a Hohner multi-monica in the shed that I've been working on now for about 8 years. Which is, I'm not quite sure about the history of it, but it was something along the lines of the first one was built in 1941 or something.
Oh, wow.
In the Messerschmitt factory. It's a sawtooth mono-synth on the top with little wooden keys and a keyboard harmonica.
Like a Bontempi.
Designed by Harold Bode.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I've been trying to find certain parts for that without any success. But nobody's remaking those parts.
Well, I bet. Yeah, they're probably quite rare. Indeed.
Yeah. But yes, generally, absolutely. It is breathing a lot of life back into the older stuff as well.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So, Ben Simpson, calling in from Warrington, has a question for you. I'm going to have to do this because it's over here. What's the best course of action after a dreaded JD800 red glue nightmare? He's got his new keys and main buttons, but my keyboard membrane thingy, it's a technical term apparently, is knackered in places and I can't find a new one. Any advice for Benjamin Simpson in Warrington?
Yes. Make sure that it's very heavily insured and crash it into a tree and run away. And then claim on the insurance tomorrow. Because you can't get them. At all.
Right.
So it's MIDI plugs for you, my friend.
Could somebody not, like, make that again? Could, some kind person, like, go out
At
the
some
way?
point, somebody should, yeah. Because Roland stopped. I think there was talk of somebody doing one.
Right.
Of redoing them, and then they just didn't do it.
Right. Okay.
And nothing happened, and that's your lot. I have two JD 800s here with exactly the same problem.
Yeah.
And they're just, back of the head.
Yeah.
There's a nice one for sale. John Parkins just put a nice one up for sale for about £900, which I was thinking,
But isn't it fitting that the man known as Red Electro would have red goo problems?
Yeah.
Very true.
You know what, though? It was angled on a stand, right? And all the red goo came out the front and landed on my Juno 106. Right. Which wasn't too bad to get off. But it seemed as though it didn't touch any circuitry or anything. It just kind of came forward. And yet, like, I quickly stripped it down, and Jeff Toman gave me some tips on how to sort it out, and I did that. But then when I put it back together, it's got loads of dead spots, dead keys. I mean, I could just use it MIDI anyway. I'm not that bothered, but
yeah, it seems to be what a lot of people do. They just like, forget it. But
yeah, that's pretty much where it is now.
Yeah, it's a shame. I hope I pronounced this right. Neil Loughran. I hope that is pronounced correctly. Forgive me if it's not Neil. He'd like to know more about replacing and repairing traces. As soon as his soldering iron is within 2 inches of an old circuit board, the whole trace lifts up or disappears. Have you got any advice on repairing traces on PCBs?
What would be interesting to know is what temperature he has that soldering iron at.
Okay. Neil's in the chat room, so maybe he can. Well, he was, so maybe he can enlighten us. But
come on, Neil, let us know.
In the meantime, I mean, repairing traces. What's the kind of the standard practice for doing that?
Well, when you're working on a lot of the older machines, anyway, Mark 1 Odyssey, stuff like that, and all those sort of things, those tracks are very, very delicate indeed. And the soldering iron shouldn't be any hotter than 360.
Okay.
But if you've lost your track, just get the bridging wire. It's a tight, very thin wire that you just connect from the one point to the other.
Yeah.
And you don't have to lay the entire track. It's insulated stuff, but the casing burns away when you put your soldering on it with a bit of solder. And just tag it there, cut.
Yeah.
But if you keep the temperature constant and relative, just enough to melt the solder, you won't lift the track off. And don't be there too long doing it either.
So if you have one of these soldering irons like I have, because I mean, me and soldering is not good, or should I say, for the Americans in the room, soldering, I just don't get that. Yeah, exactly, soldering. Go figure.
That's what you do to animals and get locked up for, isn't it?
So people tell me. But anyway,
I got done for.
I went and bought a soldering iron from Lidl's. So if anybody doesn't know what Lidl is, it's a German supermarket chain that's over here is, it's kind of discount shopping, and they have this thing in the middle. It's called the middle of Lidl, and every week they it's brilliant. Every week they change whatever's in the middle of Lidl. And one week I went in there and they had a whole range of power tools and things, and there was a soldering iron. I thought I should get one of those because you never know. And it's just basic. It's a soldering iron. You plug it in, you wait till it gets warm, and then you start. So would you always recommend buying a soldering iron that has, the proper temperature gauge settings on there so you can accurately manage those aspects, or is it just a case of being good at soldering?
You're asking the man that's got a strobe tuner. That's
well,
it's all about precision over here.
Yeah, it is. No, get yourself a proper soldering iron with a display,
right?
And temperature controlled, because you know, those ones where you just plug it in the mains, they just get really, 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 really hot.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're gonna burn tracks off, no problem.
Yeah.
Right,
if something's going in the bin tomorrow,
little soldering job, then it's not going to be worth it, obviously. But
yeah, quite.
But I think it's about 165 quid, something like that, for a decent temperature controlled soldering iron, but it's all base station and all the business.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Well, that's Neil's question. Hopefully, that's answered. I don't know. He seems to have disappeared from the chat. Maybe he will come back in. Torsten.
If I can add to that real quickly. I mean, I've munched a few traces in my youth, and so I didn't have anything fancy to fix it. But you just have to make the electrical connection. So I just used some wire, and again, just like what Kent said, solder it to one side and solder it to the other, and there you go. And furthermore, let's talk about those R's that are added to the ends of words and names, like Louisa becoming Louiser.
Soldering. I just don't. The L's not silent, but there you go.
Sticky.
Torsten Heinze, on the page, has asked. I don't know. Is Torsten in the chat? I haven't seen him there.
He was, but had to duck out for a meeting.
Oh, okay. So his Microwave 2, and he's talking about his synthesizer, not the implement in his kitchen, has the red turning pot. The red turning pot is having precision issues. What he wants to know is, should he replace it? Should I replace all the pots or just the one? Does that make sense? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, well, I think what he's doing is a little bit of overkill. He might not have to replace the pot at all if he's having issues with it. It probably just needs cleaning out. Just a bit of squirt in it to sort it out. Do that first before you start pulling pots out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are you when you say clean? Are you talking about a bit of deoxit D5, or actually disassembling it and getting in there?
You can. Look, there's a whole warring faction of vampires and werewolves where you've got deoxit on one side and WD-40 the other.
Never the twain shall meet.
And they keep trying to rip each other's heads off. And theoretically, I mean, deoxit is what, 20 quid for a little tin?
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it on ARP 2600 sliders. It's useless.
Right.
It's absolutely useless. It doesn't work.
Okay.
And this is going to start a nuclear war. You do realise this. WD-40 on ARP sliders works.
Okay.
And I don't give a shit what anybody else says. It works, and it has worked for me for 25 years. So up yours.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So hold on. I want to clarify this, because that'll be something that I'll be getting to here.
Yeah, WD-40.
So not deoxit, because I've got regular fader cleaner and all that, but I got some deoxit. But you're saying don't use that. Use what on 2600 sliders?
WD-40.
This goes against everything that I know, though.
Yeah, that's it. But the thing is, if you go into synth, I don't go into synth forums anymore because I'm not allowed to carry a gun. And, well, otherwise it would be more fair, wouldn't it? But if people go, oh no, you don't use WD-40 on anything. No, it's all wrong. You should be using deoxit. No, it's horse shit. All of it. It is all horse shit. You do not need to buy 20 quid tins of deoxit. There are certain things it works on really well, don't get me wrong. But if you want to clean out a pot or a slider on something that is 45 years old, you use WD-40. End of story.
Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth, with all due
respect. And I've got a billion restored synthesizers as proof.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I hadn't really heard of deoxit until maybe 5 years or so ago, and then somebody said, well,
5 minutes for me. Yeah.
and I bought a can, like you say, it's in the drawer. There's a little can like this, and it was about £15-20. But I've used it on some scratchy faders, and it worked absolutely perfectly. But similarly, I've used WD-40 on other things, and it's worked perfectly. I think the best thing about Deoxit is it probably smells a little nicer than WD-40. But then I've got this thing with WD-40. When I had a little 2-cylinder motorbike back in the 80s, I used to go the back roads to work, and there was always lots of puddles. And when I went through the puddle, the water would splash up into the engine, and the engine would go, and then it would just pick up again. So I used to like coat the engine in WD-40, and it would just repel the water. And it was great. So I always used to come in smelling of this, and it just kind of. But Deoxit's a bit more chemically kind of
I
like
had somebody who got me wrong, where I said he had a 2600, and he said he had one particular slider. Funnily enough, it was the filter slider at the top. And he said he'd used Deoxit on it. He said now it's all a bit stiff and a bit like this, and it's still crackly. And I said, no, put some WD-40 on it. And he went, oh, okay. And then he got back to me a couple of days later saying, he goes, oh, I must have got that wrong. I put carb cleaner on it, and all my paint has run off the front of my panel. And the slider just, you said the stem of the slider just went,
Oh, no.
He's got limp dick slider. So,
oh dear.
Yeah, no carb cleaner. No.
It gets more to the gallon now, though. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. It sounds very, very tuned.
Yes. Oh, very good. This is a little one from Native VS, Robert Schussler. Rather generally, he says, how do you deal with small broken plastic bits? So if you've got a small broken plastic bit on your synth, I'm thinking like the hinges on the front of a Fairlight. They're terrible for snapping.
Oh God, I'm trying to remember the name of this stuff. It's a very, very long word. Begins with C. No, long
only
word.
Right, so only those short words that begin with C.
Yeah, the short words is not cute. And it's like super glue, but it's not. It's really incredible stuff. It's sort of like dib, dab, done.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's really good on the plastics that they use on synthesizers generally. Always try it on a little bit that's not going to be seen first.
Yes, indeed. But what if you've maybe got a broken plastic hinge or something? Because that's a thing, and you can't fix it. Maybe it's missing, or there's it's just not fixable. Do you? I mean, I know you've dabbled, or maybe dabble's too weak a word, with 3D printing. Are you 3D printing components at all, or using 3D printing?
Nothing that would be seen by the human eye.
Right. Okay.
Because of the finish. I've used plastic card and stuff like that in the past, and fiberglass.
Okay.
But I'm pretty nifty with fiberglass anyway, so I can remold stuff as well. When you get like a smashed up Juno 106 in cheek.
Right, okay.
Sort of like rebuild it.
Okay.
Spray it up and it looks the biz.
Nice. I think there'll be a good market for DX7 end cheeks in that regard, because a lot of people don't like putting wood ones on when they crack. So maybe there's a small market for you there.
Well, it's wood, isn't it? I mean, it comes with its own issues as well.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that one, Robert, and thanks for the answer, Kent. Paul Dixon, here's a nice little segue from that little DX7 quote there. So, could you ask Kent if the ROM chips inside the Yamaha TX7, the little desktop module, are laid out the same, and are they the same as inside the DX7 Mark I? His reason for asking is that he wants to know if it's possible to upgrade the TX7 with the Supermax ROM board that is available as an upgrade for the Mark I DX7. I mean, I've only got a TX7, so I couldn't tell you what a DX7 looks like inside. Not the Mark I anyway. So I couldn't answer that one myself.
If the RAM numbers match, it's using the same CPU, etc., etc. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
There's not a lot of space inside.
I wouldn't know precisely. It's not a road I've gone down, so
right.
I couldn't say. Oh yeah, it's
sure.
You might need to have a look at schematics and have a look and check and see because they were very similar machines anyway, weren't they?
Yeah. Our resident FM expert in the chat room, Dr. Manny Fernandez, says, read TX question. No. The OS is different. The OS is different apparently as well. I did not know that the OS was different. I was thinking along the lines of I don't think you can get the board in there, period, because it's quite a tightly packed box. Sorry, snigger. I've got a sex tape. I've got. I can't believe I did that. But there's not a lot of room there. But apparently the OS is different, and so therefore the Supermax won't work on there. And I guess that goes for all the other expansions that were available for the DX7 back in the day. Not that I can understand why anybody would want those these days. But there you go. Anyway, that's answered that one.
We got a question from Ian Tyndall about sourcing ARP 2600 pots because he's been finding them from American suppliers, but they're very expensive. I mean, they're very expensive in America, and then to ship them and to pay the import costs and stuff, because it's getting a little prohibitive. Do you have any recommendations for him?
Those shafts are. You used to be able to get hold of them separately. In more glorious times. There isn't a great deal you can do about that. You've got to swallow it.
I don't know if it matters to your answer, but I think his original question actually referenced slider shafts. I think he's got one that's broken off.
Yeah, you used to be able to get those slider shafts separately one time a day. No, you're pretty much on your own with that. You'll have to get, you'll have to buy one. We did look down the 3D printing route with it. It kind of works, but it's not very strong. The plastic that they use on those ARP slider shafts is it's almost like a fibrous. It's almost like a fiberglass shaft. It's not plastic in the usual sense of the word. It's very it's fibrous. So yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to try and 3D print them, I don't know what their longevity is going to be like. To be honest, so you might just have to, buy another slider.
Yeah,
but it is very expensive now. It's ridiculous.
We've got Dominic Horgan has asked a question. He would like to know, Kent Spong, can you tell him what's wrong?
Tell me what's wrong.
The transformer in his Roland HP70 piano makes a physical loud buzzing noise, and I can't find a replacement. Should I dismantle and try rewinding, or glue the wire? I'm assuming it's vibrating. Any hints for him?
Oh, this is all the little metal plates that the coils are wrapped around. We used to do this thing where we used to belt them with a hammer on the corners. So on the top, if it's, I think it's the one I'm thinking of. It's so you got the frame, you got the transformer, and there's like almost like a brass-coloured framework that goes around it, that goes out with the little screw holes to screw it to the base. And what you do is you put something heavy, like a large piece of metal, on one side of the transformer, and you hit that bracket. It's the bracket around the outside that's rattling.
Right.
So you smack it one in the corners, and it pinches everything tight and stops the buzzing.
There you go. So, Mr.
You
Wiggly,
don't have to replace the power supply.
Yeah. Dom,
Brilliant
there you go.
tip,
Percussive maintenance, I believe it's called.
Yeah, I did it in front of a customer. He nearly had a shit in his pants. Because he was going, he says, "Oh, it's a horrible buzzing noise." I go, "Yeah, all right, don't worry, got me flat weight." And he goes, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I'm going to get rid of your buzz." "All right." Bang! He goes, "Oh, shit." Yeah. And he went, "Oh, the buzz has gone." He goes, "Yep, there you go, mate. Off you go."
Yeah. There you go. Peter Fitzpatrick asks, do Lindrums ever really behave and not occasionally vomit up all that you've programmed into them? even with a brand new PSU? Do they wait until you've written the equivalent of Blue Monday, or are they less spiteful than that?
No, they're evil bastards. Yeah, they are. Lings. Oh, spiteful, horrible, disgusting jobs. Yeah. It should be spanked, no tea, sent to bed.
There we go.
Yeah, they do. They're weird. Yeah, they just do that. I've had that with them where I did a restoration on one, and it was absolutely perfect. It was fine. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it. And the customer tried it out when he come to collect it, and bass drum's gone. What? It's good. Yeah, it's gone. And it was plain patterns, no bass drum in it.
Wow.
Yeah, so we just punched it, and it worked. There you go.
More percussive maintenance.
So, yes, it's just yeah, they do. They're just flaky. They're a bit flaky. They're very, very old now anyway, so they're going to be flaky.
Yes, quite.
And this is one of the reasons why reissues are actually a bit of a godsend in a lot of.
Yeah.
It's not just the cost; it's also the reliability of some of the things. I mean, as long as they can do some really, really decent replicas, cool, go for it.
Yeah, indeed. I'm never quite sure whether this is Diana or Jason, but the account name is Diana Jason Upton Crouch. She asks, we all hoard gear. How should you prepare a unit for long-term storage, and what conditions are the worst to store it in, other than the obvious being outside?
Extreme weather temperatures, so attics where it's really, really hot in the summer and very, very cold in the winter. They don't like that very much. Cool, dry place.
Yeah.
Stick it in a cupboard somewhere, it'll be fine.
Yeah, because my wife always moans at me about all the amount of Fairlights that I've got in my garage, and she always tries to pull the card, surely it's doing them damage sitting in there. And I'm thinking, no, it's dry and it's cool and it's well aired. It'll be fine, absolutely fine. So
yeah.
Terrible problem to have that.
Sorry, Ben?
Terrible problem to have too many Fairlights in your garage.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's terrible. It is actually. Trust me, it's a pain in the arse.
Yeah, I was out in that garage this week, and
yes,
I found 2 keyboards I didn't even know were out there. Okay. What is this? It was a CS30L.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm going, I don't have a CS30L.
You do now.
Wow.
And and the other one was another. I thought there was one Synthex out there. It's not. It's 2. It's 2 Synthexes.
The world's Synthex are all intense.
Bizarre.
Yes.
I can't wait till the one day I have these problems.
Yeah.
Ben's had these problems, or well, he's about to have that problem when he finds his lost DX7, right?
Well,
No, he's promised it
it's
to me.
increasing in value all the time. It's missing this thing, and I could have it back. The only thing that was wrong with it was it probably had a repair off Kent because it had a big dented top of it. And,
should be tyre marks.
Yeah,
Should be tyre marks. If it's tyre marks, it's one of mine.
So it had a big dent in the top of it where it says DX7, but it worked perfectly. It was brilliant. Like as far as DXs go, it was brilliant. Sorry, Robbie.
what are you trying to say?
And I lent it to Phil out the band, and he put it in the loft. I said, I never lent it. You put it in the loft, and then moved house. I don't know where it is.
Oh, jeez.
Gone missing. He
Some
owes
people.
he owes me a DX7.
Well, at least you have DX Dreams now.
Well,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Right.
true. Yeah.
One
I
other
have a
thing.
TX.
Yeah, TX7 is just, it's the same engine. Ken Lewis actually says, makes a valid point here. It says, take out the batteries if you're going to store something. But that kind of leads me on to something else, because one of the issues we have with Fairlights is the Q133 card has a very large, old, round battery cell on it that are terrible for leakage. And if they leak, that's it. The board is destroyed. It's gone. You just throw it away. So I guess if your synth is old and it has some kind of battery in there, which I guess most of them or a lot of them do, is it wise to disconnect the battery or just replace it with a brand new one and store it with that in there? You know, what sort of things should you think about in terms of those things?
Well, theoretically, the battery should at some point be moved so it can't leak all over any valuable boards anyway.
Yeah.
And get it up one end of the keyboard and tucked away.
Mm-hmm.
So if they'd done that with Poly 6s, it would have been yay. So yeah, I mean, you can do that. I mean, it's a very good idea to do that with TB303s and stuff like that.
Okay.
Where they leave the batteries in there and they leak everywhere and they rust and the rest of it.
Mm.
However, there is this thing that has come up lately, and it's to do with very old EPROMs, and there's been talk about if you have a machine that's not powered, doesn't have its the RAM isn't powered up by a backup battery for a very, very long period of time, the chips actually suffer from some sort of bit rot.
Right.
And there is still speculation between quite a few techs at the moment about whether this actually exists or not. I know I've got a Prophet 5 Rev 2 here that I think has suffered from this very problem of bit rot because it was doing such weird things that it shouldn't be able to do. Where it would turn off VCOs.
Right.
I mean, literally in their sockets, turn them off, and they wouldn't work. And they're supposed to run all the time when the power's running through them. And it's just the really bizarre. That shouldn't be able to do that kind of things. And we put this down to the fact it's been years and years and years with no battery in it.
Right. So the answer to that would be to replace that EEPROM, or does it do further damage?
Yeah, on a Rev 2, that's not something you can't nip down the road and go and get a set of EEPROMs for them. It's a real problem. So, I mean, I would imagine if the battery is well situated and away from any delicate electronics, it should be fine to leave the battery in.
Yeah.
But if it isn't, then get
Whip
it out.
Whip it out.
If you're going to be leaving it for a considerable amount of time, tucked away somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any particular instruments? I mean, say with the Fairlight, it's well known within the community that Q133 board, just get the battery out. Or even if you're storing it, just take the card out and store it and just clip it out so it doesn't go and then replace it with something better. Are there any other synths that you're aware of that have similar sort of issues with really bad leaking batteries?
Definitely Poly 6.
Yeah.
Definitely Poly 6. Because it was always the policy to have the battery as close to the RAM as possible.
Okay.
Which obviously is then next to the CPU and very close to the EPROMs. And that's a very complicated part of the board, and you do not want battery acid eating that board out.
No.
So yeah, get rid of them. Yeah, get them out of there. And if you're leaving it for long periods of time, understand. It's all right on a Prophet 5 because it's upside down, so if it does leak, it just pisses all over the base.
Right.
The synth doesn't do any harm.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Anything away.
Good. Next question is from Matt Thomas. I have a Kawai K4 that no longer powers up since a small crack through one end corner of a circuit board. I can find techs who will fearlessly brave any analog polysynth known to man, but no one will look at the K4. Does Kent know of anyone in the UK who might? P.S. I'm hoping to save the presets, hence the obvious route of replacing it isn't my preferred option. Kawai K4.
Try Ben Rosper at Cyberwave EMS.
Ben Rosper, Cyberwave EMS. I'm going to put that as a reply in that thing now. So Ben Rosper, is it BURGH?
Yeah.
At where? Sorry.
Cyberwave EMS.
Cyberwave EMS.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cyberwave. Cyberwave sounds really cool. If Sequential had called that Take 5 the Cyberwave, it would be much more appealing. It needs a cool name. Synths need cool names.
This is true.
Colin.
Colin, the Sequential Colin. There we go.
Yeah. Or
There
the
you go, Dave. You can have. Dave can have that one on us. I think. Let me see. I think that Suzanne Aston in Australia says, "Are you looking forward to taking part in the very first Synths by the Sea festival?" That's her.
Oh yes.
Tell me more.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a talk or something of that nature, but also might be doing a live set.
Wow. Cool.
That should be interesting.
So when's that happening? Do you know?
Next April. I think
Oh, right, okay.
it was. So I've got bags and bags of time to dust a keyboard off.
Because she wants to set up an event, doesn't she? There, like a in-person thing. Yeah.
On the beach, yeah.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. So you're not flying out there for that. You're just going to do that online, are you?
I can't fly. Look, I haven't got wings. I'd have to walk.
This is true. But no.
No, I wouldn't be able to go to that. That's going to be an online-y thing for me. Mm-hmm. So they'll probably put me on at about, 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's face down in the sand. They'll go, "What's that bloody noise in the background there, mate?" It sounds like somebody having a car accident. And that would be me.
Dear, oh dear.
Like that.
Guys, have you got any questions for Kent? Because I've run out now of all of that lot that was on Facebook. So thank you to everyone, to Peter, to Dominic, to Cy, to Jason, Matt, Paul, Suzanne, Robert, Torsten, Neil, and someone called Ben Simpson. Thank you all for those questions, and we'll get some. If we didn't answer any of yours today, don't worry, because Kent's coming back next month. We'll do some more of this. But do you guys?
I think we could sum it up with several pieces of advice that would pretty much cover everything. After that Kent has given us, and that's fix it with WD-40 and a hammer, unless it's a DX7. And then just run the damn thing over.
Yeah.
Or we're pretty much good,
I'll
right?
leave it in a loft. Yeah.
Crash it into a tree, save an accident.
Somebody else's loft. Leave it in my loft. I've never been in my loft.
Oh.
Not at this house.
Is that a euphemism?
No, it's true. It's funny because I've got one of these houses where the roof kind of comes in lower than most, and so the loft space it's more like a crawl space. But I've never been up there. I don't want to go up there. It's just weird. It's just too small. I get bad things about small places.
Is exactly like that.
Yeah, I've not.
It's hands and knees only.
No, I don't like that. No, not my thing. Wilderness Music wants to know. This is probably a question for the whole group or Kent as well. Is the new Jupiter X darn close to the JD800? We don't have the H-stage envelopes, but maybe a quick way to sound design on Roland's 4-partial architecture. Any thoughts on the Jupiter X being close to the JD800? I couldn't say, but Ben, you're...
I know the Zenology, which is the same technology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rapping here somehow. The Zenology, which is the same technology, is it is very accurate for me. I compared them side by side. Very, very good. So I presume the Jupiter X would be the same.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about the envelopes, but I'm sure you could live with a few less stages in your envelope.
And you did a video on it for the JD800.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ben did a video.
There is a video with that comparison
on our channel. It's there somewhere. Yeah.
Just don't ask Synology to do vintage synthesizers.
Digital's easy, isn't it? It's.
Mr. Tyndale says, Kent, that mug of tea must be cold by now. How quaint he thinks it's tea.
Yeah. It's actually coffee. But
right.
It's the sort of coffee where I just love to go, cheers.
Asio Head says
That's
in
a lot of vodka for coffee.
maybe there's an abandoned mini moog up in my loft. That's true. I never thought of that. There might be something in there.
Yeah,
Do you know,
of course there is.
what's the weirdest thing? I remember when I got married the first time. I got married in Florida, and we had a little timeshare villa. And we got to the villa, and I was looking around the place.
Well,
and
that's where stuff started to go wrong.
Yeah, quite. And there was this
Florida.
box. There was this box poking out from underneath the sofa. And I thought, oh, look, somebody's left a Trivial Pursuit, because it was kind of that size box. I pulled it out, and I opened the box, and in the box was a wedge of flesh. Not real flesh, but fake flesh. And some syringes. And apparently it was a practice kit for under-the-skin contraception. You know, where they put that little fan of things just under your skin, and it was a practice. The weirdest thing I've ever found in a place where I wasn't supposed to be looking.
So get this, along with your story. So when I went back to college, I was in my early 20s, and my roommate was also. So they paired us up, and then we moved off campus after that. But for that first semester, we had a dorm that our door opened outside. And so there was a girls' hall above us, and we had our hall. And then there was this wall that had these little inlets, and they had benches there. So my buddy would go out into the woods to smoke, and then he'd come back to our room. Well, he found this CPR dummy, which is just like a torso.
Yeah.
And like the freakiest looking, like kind of blonde, straight, like crazy-eyed face and hair. And then you could remove the torso and have, do whatever they do. And so he got it, and he put it on, like one night, he put it on the bench right outside our door, left our door open. We just sat looking out, dressed it up with jeans and one of his flannels and stuff, and just waiting for people to walk by late at night. And we got so many people, like they walk by and see this freakish horror of a thing and about their dinner.
Oh, that's cool. A couple more questions in the chat room. Sasquatch says, if one wanted Kent to repair a synth, dare I ask what his backlog is?
How much money do you have?
Yeah.
Backlogs can be bypassed.
Yeah. Actually, I've been working very, very hard to actually get rid of all the backlog for the last, about 3 months now. Really, really intensive working. And I'm getting there. I've got 16 more what we call bastard jobs left to do. And that's not including anything that comes in and, they come in, they get done and they go out. But then there's the concentrate on the bastard ones, that being one of them.
Yeah.
And then I'm free and clear. So basically when a machine is booked in, I'll be working on it literally that day. And it'll be great. So the backlog at the moment is not brilliant, but I'm not taking anything in until November now anyway.
All right.
As we try to get through a lot of stuff. And I've got to, because we're also doing some work in the house as well. And I, we've just got this huge skip to replace the little skip that was out there. And which was quite ingenious watching him swap them out and over on each other, and put this big one in because we've got to clear out all the bottom of the garden, which I know Ben's looking forward to.
Yes,
it'll be exposing things for him, and so I had a look through. I was able to get close to that bottom workshop and have a look through the glass because I have not been able to get into it because of all the stuff that's in front of it. And there are things in there. My God, there's 2 Tysco 400 SXs in there.
Wow.
And a was it EMM? I can't remember the name of it. It was the Spectrum, the Spectrum synth. It's a little sit up and beg 3 VCO synths.
Right.
Looks like a Synth.KON. There's one of them in there. And yeah, it'd be interesting to get in there and get stuff out and find out what is in there, because I've forgotten what's in there. So, and I don't think I'm going to find any, I forgot to do that job kind of things, but it should be, it's mostly parts and bits and bobs. So, and yeah, once all this stuff's out of the way, so by November I'll be free and clear, and literally people will be able to drop off something on the Monday. I'll be working on the Monday, and they will be getting it back the same week.
Nice. Good stuff.
So, which is a much better way of doing it, and instead of this, being up to me,
up to you,
and all sorts of stuff. And I mean, we have to go out the back gate at the moment because you can't get through the hall. There's two Oberheim 4 voices. There's a E2 emulator 2 in its flight case. There's a Stratus, a TR-808, a AX80. What else is it? 2 Pro 1s and a Prophet 5 in the hall. And the toilet is just full of drum machines and sequencers. And you just can't get out. So we have to go out the back gate to go and get in the car out the front and drive off. It's mad. And that's stuff that's all done. It's all done.
I need to get Fiona to talk to my wife to teach her tolerance, because if that happened here, my guts would be for garters.
It's a trade-off. She puts up with this, and I let her drink lots of wine.
Oh, well, there you go. That's what I should do. That's what I should do. Eric, Eric's got another question. But it says, you get. All right, we'll let you have this one for free, but after that, you're gonna have to start paying. When you unbox a new synth, do you void the warranty immediately and open it up just to have a look inside?
No. Busman's holiday. Why the hell would I want to do that? On my time off.
Yeah, very true.
Really?
Very true.
Really? Yeah. It's like getting a car and go, "Ooh, let's take the engine apart." You're a mechanic. Go, no, absolutely not.
No.
Only when it breaks. Only when it breaks.
I like Peter Vogel has got a T-shirt that he wears occasionally, and it just says "I void warranties," which is kind of a kind of cool little T-shirt. That Talking of
it says 6 foot warranty.
6 foot warranty.
So by the time you get to the gate, you're on your own, mate.
That's it. Talking of Peter Vogel, I noticed that RL Music have taken in an ETI 4600. Is that going to be winging its way to you? Because what a kind of famous, I suppose, synth, being this kit form synth that was in the UK was distributed by Maplins, and you built it, and it was supposed to be like a $1,500 synth for $500. But it was that ETI stands for, I can't remember the full, Electronics Today International, I think. And there was the magazine in Australia, started by Kim Ryrie, and he got he was so disappointed by the 4600 that he wanted to build his own synthesizer, so got on the phone to Peter Vogel, and they came up with something, I can't remember what it was. It's a little white thing, but it is an interesting thing. Sorry, I'm just being facetious there. Are you looking forward to that one? Have you done many of those 4600s?
Yeah, I actually worked on the original aluminium faced one.
Oh yes,
and it was all breadboard,
right?
Just little bits of wire, and it was. Well, I couldn't get that to work. I gave it back to the guy. I said, "Go away." So this one shouldn't be too big, but yeah, I mean there were kits, all kit synthesizers from 40, 50 years ago. Nightmares.
Yeah,
and it's full of unobtainium parts as well.
Of course, yeah.
So, I mean, I did one because apparently back right at the beginning with emulator, they're not emulator. Do beg your pardon, EMU.
Mm-hmm.
Their modulars used to be kits.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that, and I had one come through, and it had music aid drum modules in it. So that's even before they become Simmons, I think, wasn't it? Music aid. And every wire every single wire, whether it was mains, power, CV, and gates, or whatever it was, or audio, every single wire was green. Every single one, and it was just in bunches.
Oh wow!
And it went down to 2 voice cards, and all the wires been pulled. And like goes, can you actually? Funny enough, that is the guy that was with the very strange French accent. That was him.
Right.
And he just turned up at the door. He'd driven over from Paris. He goes, "You make this work, huh? Yeah. And I will love you forever." Huh? My petit pois. Huh?
I was saying you sound a bit like Petit Le Pieux.
Yeah, Pepe
Oh
Le Pew,
dear.
anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got it working, and he promptly flogged it to a bloke called Roland, who works up in London. And then I think he commission sold that through Richard, so it did turn up again, and and every wire in it was still green. And I said, it's fine, it works. Just take it away.
Ty says, "Don't forget his piles." His pile.
All right.
In the chat room there.
Pile.
Yeah. The pile of piles. Talking of synthesizers you don't like to repair, are there any you won't repair? Says Synth Addict. The ones that you just literally, if somebody says, "I've got one of these," and you say, "No."
I really don't want and will not be doing TB303s anymore.
Okay.
I naturally have an aversion to them. It's like an allergic reaction. I don't get on with them. I just don't get on with them, so I don't bother trying to take them on anymore. There is plenty of other people who are really good with them. So
Yeah.
Let them get on with them.
Yeah.
A synth that I wouldn't work on? No, I don't think so. I mean, if it falls within my purview, then I'm fine with it. I know Rev 2s can be, Prophet 5s can be,
Yeah.
But I'm meeting the challenge these days now where we're getting various little things done, memory upgrades and stuff like that. I'm going to be putting them in them and stuff to make it easier to repair them.
Yeah.
Though I don't know why people are still wanting them, to be honest. The reissues are fine.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Fair enough. Right, I think we've exhausted all the questions in the chat. Gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to ask Kent? We're going to let him...
I don't want to keep you too long, Kent, but the vocoder behind you, what is the story with that? What's going on? I don't think that we should... It's not right that we should just, brush over the subject that Kraftwerk's vocoder's behind you. We need to know.
Yes.
What's wrong with it, how you got it, and, how much is it worth?
Well, it's quite weird, actually, because when I did Daniel Miller's System 700 for him, and I did a beautiful, even I'll say this, it was a beautiful restore we done on that. It looked like it had just come out of the factory again. And he was very impressed with what I had done with it. And he said, "Look, will you look at the Kraftwerk vocoder for me?" I'm going, "Yeah, of course." So he brought it round. I'm going, wow, the Kraftwerk vocoder. And then I looked inside it and was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's a bundle of bits. It has 5 power supplies in it.
Wow. Oh, Jesus.
So instead of one power supply to do several different outputs, you go, it's almost like the bloke was designing it as he went along.
Yeah.
So he goes, oh, that's going to require another power supply. We'll put another power supply in. And we go, oh, we'll do this and we'll do that. And everything was glued together. Yeah. So all the meters were Evo stuck.
Right.
And you just stuck them in. I've made a panel now for them that goes in between each meter in lovely brushed aluminium, and it looks absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. And when it got down to doing the electronics, and then we found that 3 of the channel boards were missing. And I had to recreate the boards and find very, very, very old components. Very old components. Ideally, capacitors from 1967 would be ideal. And I found a guy who had a dusted little drawer full of these old, not electrolytic capacitors, but the old, solid capacitors or paper wound capacitors. Very, very old type tech. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I've got some loads of these. Yeah, I said, yeah, I'll have them, thank you." And literally rebuilt these 3 channel boards and fitted them. And replaced everything else, and it's coming along really well. It still has a few issues, which is related to wiring. There's no wiring diagram for it, so it's, I have to unpick the wiring loom every time that I find a wiring problem and isolate the wire, and then have to flip a coin and we'll see where it's supposed to connect. All right, that connected. Let's see what it does. Bang. No, not that one then. Okay, moving on. Right? Until I get one go, "Oh, hello, it didn't blow up. Let's move on."
Okay.
Because it's point to point, and some of the points have no function.
Yeah.
So you'll be working out this wire, you work out where it goes, and it goes to a terminal, and the terminal stops there.
Right.
So he was going to do something, he's wired it up to do something, and then gone, "Nah, I won't bother, and I'll move on to something else with it." So it's been quite a conundrum, to say the least, to work on. So, and I do like the challenge, but when you've got 30 other keyboards that need to be done, and there's people phoning up and going, "Oh, I need my keyboard, mate. When is it going to get done?" It's like, "Yeah, all right, I must get on with that one." And then that gets put to one side. So I've been working on that for a couple of years now, and then I come back to it going, "Where was I? What was I doing with it?"
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but the paintwork on it is, it's water based because I would clean it and come up on the rag.
Oh no.
I'll have to repaint that now. So, yes. So it's, but it's, once it's all working, get it all set up, and obviously got to go audio barn through it.
Yeah.
And
Video
then I'm going to send Daniel the bill.
Yeah. And then a long holiday somewhere hot. Sasquatch posted a question. Apologies, I saw it and it went and disappeared. He wants to know about the power switch, well, the button for the power switch, should I say, for a Kurzweil K2500 RS, and who he has to sleep with to get one. Any idea where you can locate a power switch or a button for the power switch on a Kurzweil K2500 RS?
Well, put it this way. I've got a K2000 and I'm still trying to get a button for it.
Right. So
the best thing to do is to buy a push button system from RS or something like that. So you have the push button mechanism and the button, and fit it and just replace the whole bloody thing and be done with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully that's answered your question. Guys, have you got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Good.
It's been very interesting.
It has.
Quite a bit there.
Yeah. I know the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow morning is throw my soldering iron in the bin.
Yeah. I'm going to buy some WD-40.
Yes, quite.
Yeah, it's like with the old Keith Emerson's GX1.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that?
I'm not sure. I think you might have done, but tell us again.
Okay. Well, you see, in Peter Forrest's book, it talks of the guy falling off the tractor.
These ones.
And the tractor. Yeah, exactly. And crashing into the barn and destroying his GX1.
Yes, that's the story I've heard.
That's the official story. Yeah. So, you heard it here first, people. What actually happened was, yes, the whole tractor thing did happen. The tractor crashed into the barn, but it hit a Fender Rhodes suitcase, 88 Nova, I believe it was,
right,
which sent it careering across the studio like a black piano wizard into the side of the GX1 and marked it, put a black mark down it.
Right.
Keith contacted my old mentor, Dusty Miller, who was still freelancing for Yamaha at the time, and asked him to come down and he said, "Oh, come and check the DX1 out for us." So Dusty goes down, and he goes, "Go in, and there's the GX1, and it's got this horrible black mark from the Tolex down the nice creamy paintwork." And he goes, "Oh, I'll get some teacup that'll come clean out." And he goes, "Oh, cool." So he said, so he's come back, I think it was later in the week, I think it was the soonest he could come back down. So he comes back down armed with teacup. Walks in, and the GX1 is a big pile of bits on the floor. He goes, "What happened to the GX1? "Nothing." So basically what it was, yeah, we broke it up, and we're going to claim on insurance. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that's what actually happened to her.
Yes.
Which is quite interesting, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, talking of old synths, Synth just asked, has Kent ever worked on a Hammond Nova chord or anything else that old? If so, how was it?
Well, there was that multi-moniker. That's pretty old.
Yeah.
You know. Although I'm not quite sure about the 1941 thing, because that suggests a certain amount of collaboration with the Nazis, being able to build something in a Messerschmitt factory during a war.
In that time, yes.
So maybe not that far back. But yeah, I mean, that's weird as hell.
Yeah,
it's an ongoing concern. So, no, I've never been near a Nova chord. It's funny, there's certain things that just will not come here because people don't think it falls into the category of stuff that I work on. So Mellotrons don't come here.
No.
Chamberlains don't come here.
No. Where do they go?
Dave Spears has tried. No. Stay over there in Reading, good man. But he did bring down that Wurlitzer drum machine.
Oh yes,
drum machine.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's down in the in one of the workshops. It's a massive thing. It's very clever and very interesting, but only from the point of view of using it, not repairing it.
Right.
So I've done. What do you call them? What was it called? Octagon. Done Octagons.
Oh yes, yeah.
I did one for can't remember his name now. Damn it. It was quite funny because he goes, it's really quiet. He said it hardly makes any noise now. He said when you play it, it's really in the distance.
Yeah.
I go, well, we'll check it out. And it's fantastic because it has this foot pedal, right? But instead of the foot pedal having a pot like you would get in a normal foot pedal, it actually pulls a bit of string that's on a slider on a spring. I thought it was just brilliant. It was genius. And the reason it was quiet was because there was a lot of dust on the bulb.
Right.
Because it shines the light through the transparent disc.
Yeah.
That creates the sounds, yeah? But I didn't know that it was a question of the less light getting through, the quieter it gets.
Right.
So I cleaned off the bulb, and it was like, oh, there we go, it's all back again. And I thought that is the most bizarre mechanical repair. It's just weird. You have to dust a light bulb to make it work. Okay. Fair dues. It was bizarre.
Excellent.
So I didn't find anything horrible in that.
Wattage?
Well, yeah, you change the wattage on the bulb and you get
stick a bigger bulb in it. Is it good louder?
It'd be like you sort of make it like a fuzz octagon. Yeah, a rock octagon.
Indeed.
Put a spotlight in it. It's like
Well, I think we can draw that to a close. But listen, if we didn't answer your question today, then don't worry because Kent's coming back next month. It's going to be a regular thing. The third Friday every month is what we've kind of landed on at the moment. But of course, Kent's in the in the Facebook group. So if you want to drop him a line there, I'm sure that when he gets time during the clearing of his backlog, I'm sure he'll be gracious enough to tell you where to go and get your things fixed. No.
Yeah.
So Kent, thank you. It's as always, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for your time and your expertise and your knowledge, and for sharing it with us. We will be back next week. Who have we got on next week?
Do you have Mel Wesson on?
Oh, of course. Well,
Mel.
yes. Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, we've got Mel on. I say hopefully. He was supposed to get back to me today to confirm. Because he's got some personal stuff going on, and he wasn't sure if he'd be able to do it. And if he couldn't do next Friday, we're going to throw him into October, I think it is. But he's definitely coming on, but hopefully next week. So then we'll be able to officially say we've had half of Node on the show. But Mel's a really interesting guy, and he's got a great taste in cars as well. He's a big Lotus fan, which is very nice. So Mel Wesson next week. That'll be really cool. The week after that, we've got this chap, and we have to thank Kent for sorting this out. We've got David Arnold coming on, composer extraordinaire. He's done James Bond and a whole bunch of other things. Dracula, the BBC series recently that was really good. So David Arnold coming on, and we'll be picking his brains. Maybe I'll regret my comments about Luton early on in the show, because I do believe David is from Luton. So I take it all back about Luton. It's a fantastic
He may
place.
not remember.
No, hopefully. Fingers. He's probably not even watching. Let's be honest.
September. No, you won't remember he's from Luton.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Can understand that. Week after that, September 10th, we've got Mick McNeil coming back onto the show. Of course, Mick was the keyboard player with Simple Minds back in their pomp, and hopefully we'll have a great show with him on September 10th. And then Kent's back.
That's cool.
Kent's back in the house on October 15th. Sorry, not September 17th. Sorry. September 24th, really looking forward to this one. We've got the legend that is Martin Ware, founder of the Human League, founder of Heaven 17 and the British Electric Foundation, producer for Tina Turner, Terence Trent D'Arby, amongst others, or Sananda Maitreya, should I say, because that's Terence is his old name. Sananda is his new name. So we'll be speaking to Martin and asking him all sorts of things about the birth of kind of synthesizer music, certainly in this country anyway, in the late 70s. Really looking forward to that one. Then we've got our old friend Mr. Ken Flux Pierce. Will be joining us again. I love that pose. I don't know where you got that from, Ben. Talk to me. He's very Italian there, isn't he? So Ken is on October 1st, and then October 8th. I mean, honestly, I'm still having to pinch myself. Steve Porcaro of Toto, composer of songs like Human Nature, as well as Rosanna, which I'm building up so many questions about Toto songs. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to bore this guy to death. But I'm going to make the most of having him on. Then, of course, Kent's back October 15th. And October 27th, we've got the synth designer extraordinaire, Mr. Axel Hartman, coming on the show. So if you have any questions about the Hartman neuron, don't bother, because I think once they're dead, they're dead. But we'll be asking him about his synth design work and what he's got planned in the future. Anything you want to ask, please let us know. And then coming up sort of like November, December time, we're still looking for some more guests. So if you have any recommendations or requests, do let us know. We'll see what we can do. Get in touch with us over at the Facebook page or YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, whatever the cool kids do these days. And of course, info@prosynthnetwork.com if you want to email us direct. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We've massively overrun. The dogs are in the house. Which one's this?
This is Siri.
Hello, Siri.
Hey,
Hello, Siri.
My phone will be going off. Behave yourselves.
Yeah, don't call it Alexa.
Do any of us own a T-shirt that doesn't have something on it?
Yes.
Do any of us own a plain T-shirt?
Yes.
You have a plain T-shirt. There you go. I was going through my wardrobe. I do not have a T-shirt that's plain.
Do you know, the only plain T-shirt I've got is a white T-shirt, and I daren't wear it because I always spill something on it, or yeah. So I always tend to. I always end up wearing my white T-shirt the day that she cooks pasta, and then it's like an explosion. Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff. Anyway, lots to come in the coming weeks. Thank you again to everyone that's joined us on the live show, and thanks to all the chatties and everyone that's been in there. You've been brilliant. Please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you like the show. That's fantastic. All of these interactions do matter, and make sure you hit that bell to make sure you get notified of all the shows. We've got some maybe some impromptu shows that we can't talk about right now, but coming up in a few weeks' time, maybe some stuff. I want to do another video about the Polybrew because I'm really falling in love with that. Sorry, Ty. But yeah, I'm really falling for that, and I want to sort of do a bit more in-depth thing on that. But we've got some great stuff coming up in our plans. So yeah, do stay tuned and hit that subscribe button. Right, you doing anything fancy this weekend, Cryss?
Well, I hope to source a cardboard cutout of Kent, but instead of a suit and a red scarf, I'm going to get it with his T-shirt that he has on today.
Stand up,
Kent.
Kent.
This is very great. Smeg red dwarf
Smeg.
T-shirt.
Look at that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then I'll have him silently judge everything I do every day.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we all need somebody in the corner of our room silently judging us. I tend to have my cats. They do that. They do that very well.
Oh, they're very judgmental animals.
They are. Yeah, that's why I like them.
They just sit in the corner going, no.
See, that's
feed me.
Maybe that's the problem is I've got a dog, and, the dogs are just so wonderful. They love everything you do.
Ben, you got any gigs coming up?
Yes, I've got one at St Helens, which is very local, this weekend, and then we're on Restricted Rocks Festival on Sunday, the week after, and that's a pretty big event. There's quite a few thousand there, so it's going to be quite good. That one.
Nice.
Looking forward to that.
Good stuff. Excellent. Did I see you sold out somewhere recently?
Yeah, that's the one on Saturday.
Oh, right, yeah. Lovely.
That's our first sold out gig, that, as far as I know.
Nice.
So hopefully there'll be a few more of them.
Nice.
To get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. And Kent, you're just going to be busy clearing your backlog, as they say.
No. Yes, I'm clearing my backlog, yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you again, Kent. Much appreciated.
No problem.
Thank you, Cryss. Thank you, Ben. And thanks to everyone in the chat room and everyone that's watching us on catch up. I know that lots of people around the world can't watch us live. We understand. And we appreciate you coming back to watch us post-event. And we hope you enjoy the show as much as we do making it. We'll be back same time, same place next week. And until then, we will say goodbye and see you next Friday. Bye.